They are looking for another sellout in the Swamp tonight. And the Gator fans still buzzing from last week's huge win over the Vols. Tonight, the Gators are playing as a top 25 team for the first time in a year. It's number 25, Florida, welcoming the Charlotte 49ers to Gainesville. Hi again, everybody. Clay Matvick alongside the SEC's all-time passing leader, Aaron Murray. Great to have you with us tonight from the Swamp, a place that you never got to play in your time in Georgia. You were always busy in Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, I'm from Tampa, Florida, just down south a little bit from here, and grew up going to a lot of games, but unfortunately with that rivalry, never got to play in the Swamp. An incredible stadium, and these fans are pretty juiced after last week.
Now Florida's 2-1, and that was the biggest win in the Billy Napier era. Beating Tennessee was huge for this team, and now he says we just got to keep it going.
Well, they got to keep the momentum. They had some good moments last season, but what happened after that? They followed up with a loss against some teams that they should have been. So for Billy Napier and this football team, it's about let's take advantage of everything that we created last week, the toughness in which we played, the execution on both sides of the football, and right now the maturity of this football team as well. That's something this coaching staff kept reiterating to us this week in meetings, was the fact that they understand that right now there's a bigger microscope because of last week's win, and they're ready to go out there and dominate here tonight.
Going for their first three-game winning streak since 2020. And Florida won 6 in a row. This is the first ever meeting between the Gators and Charlotte. Charlotte went 3-9 last year. They made a coaching change. They brought in 63-year-old Biff Poggi as they move into the American Conference. And it's a rebuilt roster, too. 70 new players, 48 transfers. Florida won the toss. They have deferred their option to the second half, so Charlotte will receive the opening kick. And we're likely to see two quarterbacks tonight for the 49ers. Trace Max got it on the tee. And here we go from Gainesville. This is going to be a touchback, and the Niners are going to go to work from the 25-yard line. Well, Jalen Jones is finally getting a chance to take the field here at the Swamp. He originally committed to Florida in 2019. Talented running quarterback, and a 58-yard touchdown run against Georgia State last week. In fact, he's their leading rusher. We will likely also see Drexler Ivy, but it's the senior getting the start tonight.
Well, they want to slow this football game down. You'll see a lot of 12 personnel. They're coming out with 11 right now, so 3 receivers, 1 tight end, but you'll see more bigger bodies, a lot of option football, RPO, zone read, and see if this athletic quarterback can get on the edge.
Jake Clemens, the tight end, goes in motion, as does the freshman Dwayne Thomas. From the gun, here's Jones right on cue, trying to run, lost the football. Loose on the turf at the 25-yard line, and Charlotte's able to recover. Scooby Williams, who's been playing with his hair on fire as of late, was there to frustrate that play. Rutledge was able to jump on.
Well, on cue, what we thought they would do, zone or option football right from the get-go, from the gun. And this speed of this front seven, to me, is just unbelievable. The size for the front four, and then with the way those linebackers are able to run free because of Cam Jackson and Sapp and those guys gobbling up the offense, allowing that second level to run around, make plays.
Just one forced turnover this year for the Florida defense. Nearly had one there as Clemens, the tight end, gets a little shovel pass. He's going to pick up a couple, so here's a third down situation for Charlotte.
Well, this is what Florida wants to do. They know when Jalen Jones is at quarterback, it's going to be run, 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 run. So if we can get them in third and long situations, this is not comfortable for this Charlotte offense. When Jones is the quarterback, Ivy, as you alluded to, they'll play him at quarterback as well. He is more of the downfield threat throwing the football.
You can see that Charlotte has just been dreadful on third down so far this year. Henry Rutledge, the sophomore running back in the backfield. Jones, this is not his strength, trying to throw. Now tucks it and runs. He'll get to the 30, and that's it. And there's Florida defense under 30-year-old defensive coordinator Austin Armstrong has been so impressive the last couple of weeks.
Oh, it's Derek Wingo, number 15, and Caleb Banks, 88, doing a great job of getting Jones off his spot. And then from there, secondary, locking everyone up on the back end, nowhere to go. And we'll keep talking about the speed of this defense this year, so much more improved than what we saw from this Florida defense a year ago.
Florida wanted to start fast, especially on defense. They've allowed touchdowns on the first drive against Utah and again last week against Tennessee. Good punt here from Grant Gagne, the senior from Hudson, Ohio. And Florida's going to have a long field. Ricky Pearsall able to get to the 15-yard line and then dropped at the 16. There's a flag down at about the 42-yard line on Florida's side of the field. And as you see, Graham Mertz ready to go.
During the kick, holding on the receiving team number 0. That penalty will be enforced half the distance to the goal from the end of the kick. First down.
So Graham Mertz and the Gators will be backed up to start here tonight. Mertz has been in total command. Last week, the Kansas native against Tennessee put up some really good numbers. You could say he's playing the best ball of his career.
75% completion on the season, 79 last week against Tennessee, who came into that game pretty hot on defense, a little salty on that side as well. And it just, you see the comfort in this offense, which is crazy because of he's a brand new quarterback. It's a new system. It's a new language. It's new players he's throwing to. He's making it look like he's been here for 2 or 3 years executing under Billy Napier.
Montrell Johnson lined up in the slot. And they're going to have a lot of motion tonight pre-snap. Now Johnson back to the left of Graham Mertz, and this is the first play from Florida tonight. It is Johnson. He'll cut it up and has some room. He'll wiggle across the 15-yard line.
I mean, it cracks me up. I'm watching the film of Florida Gators in this offense this week, and every single play was motions and shifts and motions and shifts, and all of a sudden the defense is communicating, and then all of a sudden, bam, comes Johnson right down the middle for the nice run to get things going with the first down. But every single play, they're going to test the knowledge of the defense, the communication of this defense with all the shifts and motions.
Hayden Hansen, the tight end. He goes in motion. Now play action pass. Mertz, all kinds of time. He's going to take a shot. Wide open is Pearsall, and he's got it for a first down and much more across the 40. Ricky Pearsall, their top pass catcher. He's just a first down machine. Give him 27.
Well, it's a great protection up front. It's going to be a post route with a deep cross, and you see big number 67 Leonard coming over to pick up the defensive end, and then the arm angle showing off Graham Mertz, a little sidearm flinging it to his number 1 target.
On first down, they go back to Johnson. Nothing there. It'll bring her up second down and 10 as Jones makes the tackle. Gators missing a lot tonight, especially in the first half. Offensive lineman Damian George, Micah Mazuka are suspended for the first half, along with tight end Dante Zanders. Center Kingsley Egwakin is dealing with an ankle injury. And wide receivers Trey Wilson and Marcus Burke are out with injuries tonight.
Yeah, I think the offense line, that's the biggest issue right now, especially how well they played last week. To essentially from your center to your right tackle be brand new here in this football game, at least for the first half.
Trey Wilson, very impressive freshman out of Tampa. He's looking forward to seeing him tonight. Looking forward to seeing more of Montrell Johnson, the way he has started this football game. He has matured into a very fine SEC running back as he came over with Napier from Louisiana.
I love the use of the pistol offense. It allows them to be a pro-style offense and include the RPOs on top of it. That way they can run all the zone inside and out.
Now Tampa going with some tempo. It's Johnson again, right up the gut for about 5. Johnson had a rushing and a receiving touchdown against the Vols. Very impressive. His second straight game with 2 touchdowns. And we talked about Mertz really being in control of his game, playing at a high level. This guy is too.
Well, it's the whole running back room right now, him and Etienne. It takes so much pressure off the quarterback knowing that you can just hand the ball off, get 4 or 5 yards plus. Huge chunk plays last week.
They'll feed Johnson. Cuts it up on the near side and gets inside the 35-yard line for a first down. The run game the last 2 weeks after that 13-yard rushing performance against Utah, it has really caught fire.
Yeah, and you go back to that Utah. I mean, that's a great Utah team. And you talked to Billy and the staff, and they were really upset with a lack of execution. Some of the penalties, gave up 5 sacks, which go against the rushing yards as well. They didn't play a great game, and very disappointing because they thought they were ready to go. But since then, like you said, man, they've been on fire.
Khalil Jackson motions out. Mertz looks to the right, now finds Jackson to the sideline. And he makes a tumbling catch at the 15-yard line. Redshirt sophomore Khalil Jackson. This kid's got strong hands.
I just love this offense. They do so much pre-snap. Once again, you're thinking some sort of bubble to the outside. Great, nice, subtle pump from Graham Mertz. Gets a linebacker to bite up, and then boom, finds the whole shot down the field.
Johnson again, he'll jump into the pile and be pulled down at about the 12-yard line. We talked about the rushing game for the Gators last couple of weeks, and Trevor Etienne, of course, last week was just outstanding against Tennessee. A big part of what the Gators have been doing in the backfield. He had 172 on the ground against the Vols.
And just bouncing off, and I think that was the disappointing thing for Tennessee fans watching it, the missed tackles. And you can blame bad tackling all you want, but that's physical running from this football team for the Gators.
Fake the handoff. Mertz on the naked boot throws to the end zone, and there's going to be a penalty flag. The intended receiver was Caleb Douglas, who was running across the middle of the end zone, and there's a flag, actually 2 flags in the end zone.
Prior to the pass being thrown, holding on the defense number 12. That penalty will be enforced half the distance of the goal from the previous spot, and it carries an automatic first down.
That's junior corner Dantes Fagan.
Oh, it's a good hold right there. He was beat, hips to the inside, out breaking route, did all he could to not give up the touchdown. This is what you expect right now, the way they've been running it the past couple weeks. Efficient offenses inside the 10-yard line, just line up, run the football, especially from this pistol formation.
9th play of the drive. Play action. Mertz lobs it wide open. Arliss Boardingham, and it's a Gators touchdown. 6-yard hookup. Mertz to Boardingham, and the Gators just knifing through the Charlotte defense on the opening drive.
It's the old tight end sneak route. He's going to act like he's blocking. Everyone's going to clear out to the right. You're hoping all the receivers in the motion with the play action gets linebackers, safeties, and corners going one way, and then the tight end just slips out behind everyone else, wide open. Easy touchdown and a beautiful drive by the Gators to get things going.
Trey Smack is going to handle not only kickoffs but also place kicking duties tonight after Adam Mahalik struggled last week. And it's 7-0 Florida.
Florida Gators, we talk about the momentum coming off the big win for Tennessee. Pretty good. Drove right down the field. 7-0 Gators.
.95 yards on its opening possession, and Arliss Boardingham, redshirt freshman out of Van Nuys, California, with his first career touchdown catch. 9 plays in 4.5 minutes, and we saw that last week. Florida dominated time of possession against Tennessee.
And doing a little bit of everything. You saw the run, set up the play action pass, which then once again set up a play action pass for the touchdown to the tight end. Just very efficient. This offense got its groove on right now.
Smack again bangs one through the back of the end zone. SEC Network Volleyball Friday, number 22 Kentucky squares off against Georgia at the Ramsey Student Center in Athens. Cats have beaten the Dogs the last 5 matches dating back to 2019. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern. I've got a big dog next to me, Aaron Murray. I'm Clay Matvick. Glad to have you along from the Swamp here tonight. 7-0 Florida. And now we'll see if Charlotte can get something going. The offense really
a new quarterback
spun its heels in that first series. Trexler Ivy, the passing quarterback, comes in. More traditional pro-style quarterback. He's being chased from behind. Underthrows Jack Hystera, his favorite target. And Trexler Ivy, you're going to see a lot of play action with this guy.
Oh, he's the thrower of the two. I'm a little bit shocked that you only gave Jalen one possession essentially to get warmed up, and then you go to, and we knew both quarterbacks were going to play in this game, but you would like to see Jones get a few possessions in to get his feet wet.
Shadrick Bird, reliable veteran running back, is in the game. Transfer from Iowa. And he'll get the carry. And this is what they want to do. They want to run up the middle to try and set up that play action, but there's not a lot of room there as Uman Mielen makes the tackle. So using two quarterbacks, it's never easy.
No, it's hard to get into a rhythm, but you talk to the staff, and they've done a great job preparing these guys the entire season of understanding that both of them will play.
3rd down and 8. Little pressure, batted down at the line of scrimmage. And Charlotte's going to have to send it away with another punt. Derek Wingo, who's already been mentioned a couple of times tonight, got his hand on it.
Well, this DB's just stood right there at the sticks. No one's open. You see the quarterback just pumping and pumping, waiting for a defensive line, knowing that they're not going to get to him. Next best thing, get that hand up and knock it down. And you mentioned this offense for Charlotte's going to want to get downhill. It's just tough because you look at the size difference for Florida. I mean, Cam Jackson, 360. Desmond Watson, when he gets in there, 430. They're physically imposing at that defense line. It's going to be hard to run on them.
Number 1 defense in the SEC, looking every bit like the number 1 D in the conference right now, as Ricky Pearsall has some room on the return. Gets to the outside, hurdled the kicker, and gets into plus territory, but there's a flag at the 35-yard line.
During the return, illegal block in the back on the return team number 29. That 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the spot of the foul, 1st down.
That's Jaden Robinson who picked up that penalty, 2nd penalty on special teams for Florida tonight. But they lead at 7-0, and Mertz and company have the ball next. Well, last week was the 12th largest crowd in Gators history, almost 91,000. They've got another sellout this week. What a game. We talked about Etienne and his prowess on the ground. The Gators, so impressive. Billy Napier said that win validated his plan, galvanized the team.
Well, year 2, and you just can see the difference already on this football team and the way they played the past last week and the start of the season. I know Utah was a little bit up and down and lost that game on the road, but man, they have dominated Tennessee, especially here in the Swamp, in this stadium. And Tennessee was the favorite last week, and they put it to them in a big, big way.
10th straight win in this building against Tennessee. 7-0 Gators as they start from the 25. That penalty on the punt return nullified a 47-yard return, but here's Caleb Douglas getting a bunch of yards back for Florida. How close to the 45-yard line.
Yeah, he's someone who did shine versus that Utah game. That touchdown towards the end of the game from number 4 to jump up and over in the end zone was pretty special. They have some length at the receiving position, which I love. Big receivers that can go across the middle like that and make some catches.
Mertz hasn't thrown an incompletion yet. He's 4 for 4. Going to the air again. That pass is high. Oh, what a one-handed grab by Pearsall. And then he took a pop at the 30-yard line. There's a flag for that. Unbelievable catch.
Oh, number 1 set it up so nice, too. He knew he was going up with one hand the entire time. Little ball was a little high, and 1 jumps up there and snags it. And then gets sandwiched and still finds a way to bring it in. I mean, looking like Air Jordan right there, wearing the Jordans. That was pretty smooth for number 1.
The result of the play is a catch for a 1st down. Personal foul, targeting on the defense. That play is under further review.
I mean, I don't know if we can get like a super slow-mo pitch of that, but he looked like that little MJ logo on the jersey right there for Florida. That's what number 1 looked like, Pearsall jumping up to snag that football. And he is juiced.
We talked about the hand strength of Khalil Jackson on the last series. We'll talk about Pearsall's when we come back. They're looking at targeting here in the Swamp. There's safety Isaiah Hazel. He's going to stay in this game. They said there was no targeting after looking at the review. Here's what might be the catch of the year in college football this season.
Woo-wee, that was pretty special from Pearsall right there, and we know how amazing of a pass catcher and route runner he is, so smooth. But able to catch that with one hand, knowing that a safety's coming over the top, and you got another defender draped on your back.
And they could have called Dante Balfour maybe for potential targeting too. I think they were looking at Hazel, however. Trevor Etienne in the ball game now. He's going to line up as a receiver to the field side. Here's Mertz getting pressure. He's going to slide up and run. Graham Mertz on the hook, and he'll slide to the 15-yard line. Now, Graham Mertz, he can run too.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you start showing the ability to push the ball vertically down the field. These linebackers just start turning and running back to the quarterback. And Mertz is like, all right, there's 15 yards without a single white jersey in sight. Let me take off and run and get a first down. And yeah, he's athletic, and he's shown incredible ability on the run throwing this year. I mean, go back to Tennessee last week. The throw he made up and over a defender on the run was beautiful.
Already a red zone touchdown for Florida, looking to make it 2. Here's Etienne. He'll power his way inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. Trevor Etienne, a career-high 172 yards rushing against Tennessee. Best rushing game by a Gator in 9 years. And 109 of those yards, Aaron, came after contact last week.
I mean, that big one early on in the game, I think it was first quarter, where he bounced off a defender and then took it to the house. It's not only the strength, but then the speed once he does get to the second and third level, which make him special.
Well, he's special, all right. They fake it to him. Mertz will hit Pearsall on the crossing route. He spins out of a couple of potential tackles and gets close to the first down. Ricky Pearsall.
A man of the people right here.
He really is.
You know, giving high fives to the cheerleaders over there on the side after making the nice catch. He's ready to show out tonight.
They're going to be talking about that catch for a long time around here.
Timeout, Florida.
Now Florida
This
wants
is
a
their
timeout.
First charge timeout of the half. It'll be a 30-second timeout.
Talked about this at the top of the broadcast, Aaron, how tonight is about Florida. Billy Napier at length during his press conference, during meetings with his players. In the interview we had with Billy, he said it's about us. We have to keep our edge. We had so many opportunities last year to build on momentum, and we flubbed them.
Yep.
Can't let it happen this year.
Well, and that's year one, though, too. You're trying to build a culture, and you're trying to, I mean, honestly, you're trying to weed out some of the bad. You try to get rid of some of the players. And we've seen across the country certain programs do it to certain levels and extremes. You know, Colorado comes to example with how many players they got rid of off that roster. But Florida had to kind of, once again, weed some of those guys out, bring in guys they felt like fit what they're trying to do schematically, fit what they're trying to do when it comes to the culture. And you're already seeing that difference here in year two.
Already 156 yards of total offense for the Gators. Mertz is 6 for 6, over 100 yards passing and a touchdown. Here's Trevor Etienne. Not a lot of operating room, and Charlotte's defense makes a nice stop. Demetrius Knight, the Georgia Tech transfer, gets in there to force fourth down, and we'll see what Billy Napier decides to do.
You know he's going to go for it. Right now you want to keep the momentum going for this football team and this offense. And, you know, the problem is right now you do have, they're going to kick it, 3 offensive linemen that are out due to injury or suspension on that right side. So, I don't know, maybe a different discussion if you had your starters in there, if you want to go for it or not in this situation.
11 touchdowns in 15 red zone trips up to now, but they're going to walk out the field goal unit. Here's Trey Smack, 1 for 1 on the season. Hit a 27-yarder last week after Mahalik ran into trouble, and he bangs this one home from 27. So Trey Smack, sophomore from Maryland, has taken control of that job for the time being for Florida, and it's 10-0.
And this is another long drive. Obviously, you want to be able to put touchdowns on the board inside the red zone, especially third and short situations. Be able to get with those running backs who are dominant and break some tackles to get the first down, but still, you know, coming off of the victory last week versus Tennessee, a game that you were the underdogs in, and people kind of weren't sure what this 4 team would look like. How can they handle the success? Now all the attention they're getting on campus and the media, and 2 3-and-outs on defense, 2 great drives on offense. They've kind of let us know that kind of what we discussed, like there is some strong leadership on this football team, not just from the coaches, but from the players.
And Mertz has certainly become a leader. 6 for 6 tonight. He has a 58% completion rate in all 3 games so far this season. Needs one tonight to tie the longest streak by a Florida quarterback over the last 20 years. He's well on his way. And Smack continues to smack the football through the end zone. And Charlotte will start at the 25-yard line. Boy, Graham Mertz has really fit in well. A transfer from Wisconsin, loving Gator country.
And the offense is so friendly. You know, there's a lot done in the pre-snap that gives him indications of what the coverage is going to be. Gets guys wide open just like that.
43 is now number
and then
0.
having a guy like Ricky Pearsall who can run down the middle of the field and make one-handers always helps the quarterback's confidence.
Do you remember a receiver helping you out in that way?
A guy named A.J. Green wasn't too bad.
Oh, yeah, he did that a time or two. Trexler stays in at quarterback. Trexler Ivy. And that pass is going to be incomplete. Jack Hestera at the 40-yard line did a great job trying to haul that in, but Jordan Castell, who doesn't play like a true freshman, threw his body around.
Well, he was freshman All-SEC last week after his performance versus Tennessee. 10 tackles, 1 pass breakup, and you talk to the staff and the size, 6'2", 220, the way he can run and hang with receivers, being a safety is unbelievable for such a young pup in this defense. But there's a reason why he's playing as a true freshman.
A lot of young pups on this side of the ball for Florida. Ivy cocks his arm, fires to the sideline. It's caught. It's going to be a short game. It's going to be a pickup of a couple as Baker hauls that in. So 3rd down again as Gators will try to get off the field. They've got 10 freshmen or redshirt freshmen on the defensive depth chart.
And it's a scary thing for how good this defense has been this year. And we were talking to Armstrong about that yesterday. They are so young on that side. And you just think what they're going to continue to build this season as he gets deeper and deeper, and then obviously into years to come.
There's that Harbaugh play action. They'll dump it off to the tight end. Colin Weber, he's got a seam, and he's got a 1st down as Charlotte is able to keep the drive alive. He gets to the 40-yard line, a gain of 13.
Oh, that's someone that, you know, Weber's someone that can match up against some linebackers. We talk about the speed of this Florida team, but 18, that tight end, that's why they want to be in 12 personnel. They want to keep Florida in their base defense where they can't bring in a nickel to cover their tight ends. They feel like that's a matchup that they could possibly exploit throughout this game.
First and 10 from the Charlotte 40. Shadrick Bird in the backfield. Ivy again over the middle, and that's complete. Dwayne Thomas, true freshman slot receiver. Guy they're really excited about. Picks up a handful before Manny Nunnery, the Houston transfer, brings him down. That's going to be a gain of 6. 2nd down and 4.
Well, he's their best after catch. You know, we talk about Florida with all the yards after contact that we saw last week versus Tennessee. They feel like Thomas is that type of player where you get the ball in his hands, a little bit smaller, 5'8", but super elusive. He get you that much needed yak.
And he's going to probably get more time tonight because Jairus Mack is dealing with an ankle injury. He is their starting slot receiver. Ivy behind his man, and that was Thomas. Incomplete. 3rd down as Shamar James was in coverage.
Oh, you know, we talked about 12 personnel and thinking Florida would match it with base defense, but right now Florida's actually staying in a nickel defense. I think they're showing the respect to some of these tight ends for Charlotte, keeping an extra DB on the field. Bottom of your screen, you're going to see Weber, 18, matched up. They get one-on-one. That's who they want to go to.
Pressure. And Trexler Ivy just backpedaling away from the defensive front, essentially throwing this one away.
I mean, just way too much pressure, and they set it up perfectly. They're actually clearing it out for a screen to Shadrick Bird, and there is no Florida Gator in sight. I don't even know if he would have needed blockers down the field. If you're able to get that ball off to your running back, they did a great job of taking Weber and clearing him across the field on a shallow route versus man coverage. No one picked the back up, and just unfortunate, unable to get to him.
Pearsall going back for another punt return for Florida. He had a 47-yard return into Charlotte territory that was wiped out because of a penalty. And now this one's going to bounce and roll inside the 5-yard line. Again, Florida backed up. They've already got a 95-yard scoring drive tonight. That's a 49-yard punt for Gagne. 2:17 to go here in the first quarter. And Graham Mertz, who has been very calm, cool, and collected tonight. The Wisconsin transfer, one of 13 players the Gators took out of the portal this year. It doesn't seem like there's anything in this offense that he can't handle. In fact, I think you asked Billy Napier this yesterday. Is there anything in the offense that hasn't been installed yet, or anything that Mertz doesn't have a handle on? And he says no, he's got a very high IQ. As Johnson is cut down after a short game.
Well, someone that we were excited to see is this young man right here, Wilson, who is a freshman from Tampa, Florida. Gaither High School, a rival of mine back in the day. And you hear a lot of comparisons to Percy and his ability in the open field. He is a special young man that, you know, they're hoping to get back healthy hopefully next week and continue to utilize him in this offense.
He caught the first 6 passes on the opening drive last week before that injury. Mertz chased in the end zone, finds Pearsall at the 20. And he's going to get to the 28-yard line. Dante Balfour pulls him down to the grass. And it's a first down, Florida, with 1.5 minutes to go in the quarter.
Oh, we continue to see the athleticism of Graham Mertz. We saw him run for a first down. We've seen him now 2 or 3 times on the run. A little pressure in the face, be able to pull it and get the completion down the field. Pearsall.
I think a timeout was called. Yeah, a timeout for Charlotte.
This is our first charge timeout of the half. Be a 30-second timeout.
There's so much formation into the boundary from this football team where they put the strength. You know, usually teams, when they line up, they want to put the strength of their offense to the field. Not Florida. There's a lot of times where they want to put 3 receivers into the boundary, and it confuses the defense of, do we send the nickel over? What do we do with our safeties? And then from there, they'll motion it and then flip it to put the strength into the field. So there's just, I mean, it's a headache for defensive coordinators and especially linebackers who have to communicate everything to the secondary, to the corners of what's going on with some of these unique formations and shifts.
And a lot for him to digest.
Yeah, that's kind of why I asked the question about Graham Mertz of how much have you installed, because it's not like this team, this offense just lines up and plays football. Like, he has to know in every single play, what's the formation, what's the shift, when do I need to snap the football, how does this motion change what the defense is giving me, to which affects me pre-snap and post-snap. It's a lot to digest for a quarterback, what Billy puts on this young man.
So Ryan Osborne, the defensive coordinator for Charlotte, after the timeout, we'll see if he can make some adjustments to stop this Florida offense. They give it to Montrell Johnson, and he's hit by Okira Noma, the defensive end at the line of scrimmage, 2nd down. And Florida's got a man down. And it's Lindell Hudson, the starting right tackle tonight. And we talked about Florida being a little thin, especially on that offensive line for this first half, with Damian George and Micah Mazuka serving first half suspensions.
Yeah, not what you want right now with some replacements in there. Already a little bit light at the offensive line spot. So hopefully nothing too serious, he can get back out there.
Lindell Hudson, an FIU transfer. And Billy Napier is going to come out to inspect. Jake Slaughter is the starting center tonight because Walken is banged up. And it's kind of in a tight area here where Hudson got rolled up on.
That's always a scary thing for offensive line. They wear those knee braces to hopefully lessen any sort of impact they get to the lower half. But these are big men that bend in some awkward ways sometimes, unfortunately.
So Mark Pitts is number 3 on the depth chart at right tackle, a walk-on out of Gainesville. And he may be called upon. He got the brace off. And he seems to be moving pretty well under his own power. That's a good sign. The O-line, just 1 sack allowed the last 2 games. It's been really good. We talked about the holes they've been opening up for the running game the last couple of games, but also doing a good job protecting Graham Mertz.
Well, something they didn't do first game. 5 sacks given up versus Utah. And in Tennessee, man, you watch Tennessee for the first couple games of the season, they were getting after the quarterback. They got some athletic guys that they've built some more depth. It's a very aggressive style defense that Tim Banks likes to run there for the Vols. And Florida was able to essentially dominate in the trenches and really assert their force throughout that ball game.
So Mark Pitts will come out at right tackle as we're under a minute to go in the first quarter. Jackson goes in motion. Little bubble screen. There's a catch and a first down, but a flag down, and so is Graham Mertz. He may have taken a late hit. Maybe a hit to the head.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, high hit on the quarterback, number 11 of the defense. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. Automatic first down.
There was a potential targeting call that was overturned against Charlotte earlier. Now this one is against Handy.
And I know a bunch of Florida fans look down. Great play. They look down and they see 15 on his hands and knees and like, no, please, no, don't be hurt. The way he's been able to play this season, but good to see him bounce back up and hopefully shake it off and continue this drive.
Stone Handy, defensive lineman. .137 yards passing for Graham Mertz so far. This defense gave up 460 through the air last week to Darren Granger and Georgia State. We're going to have another timeout.
Timeout.
This time Florida.
This is their second charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
So they've got 1 remaining here in the half.
Please reset.
Well, tonight the SEC football final crew will take you through the biggest stories of the day and break down all the games. 10:30 Eastern, right after Mississippi State and South Carolina, over on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. A lot to talk about too, Aaron Murray. Alabama struggled in the first half with Ole Miss, but the Tide were able to figure things out and get the victory. Arkansas and LSU, of course, playing for the boot earlier today.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the SEC. Obviously, it's not been the start to the season that the SEC faithful have wanted, but now it's in the thick of the things. Where we're going to start getting SEC on SEC almost every single game. Maybe not this weekend, but starting next weekend, which is what we want.
Well, Lindell Hudson is back in the game at tackle for Florida. So he's able to shake off with whatever happened to him. He's okay now. First down and 10 from the 45 of Charlotte. Play action. Mertz to his right. Flings it out toward the tight end. Hansen can't grab it. And that is the first incompletion tonight for Mertz. And I think that's more on the tight end than it is Graham.
I think there's Hudson back. It's good to see, especially with some of the issues of the offensive line, him back out there. No, listen, I always like to defend the quarterback, but when you're throwing to tight ends and fullbacks, which I don't even know why I use the word fullback anymore because it's nearly extinct. You got to put it on the big guys. Don't make them reach for it.
Just 1 catch this season for Hansen. Now on second down, Mertz flushed, looking downfield, comes back and throws a strike to Andy Jean, a talented true freshman out of Miami Northwestern, his first career catch. And it's going to be the last play of the first quarter, a gain of 31.
Man, he threw some zip on that too. Once again, showing his athleticism, getting on the run. Everything going to Florida get his way early. 10-0 as they're back in the red zone.
Gators offense running like a Swiss watch in the first quarter. The Wisconsin transfer Graham Mertz in total command, enjoying his fresh start here in Gainesville.
Yeah, he looks like someone who's been in this offense for years, and then just shows you. And Billy Napier told us, I mean, they have this walk-through room in the facility, and he said every time I'm in the facility, he's in there walking through plays, thousands of reps. He felt like he got this summer.
First down from the 12-yard line of Charlotte. Mertz drops back, surveys the situation. He's going to lay down maybe a yard pickup. Second down here for Florida.
And that's a nice thing about all this technology now. So Florida kind of fell behind when it came to some of the facilities, and they had a massive upgrade and feel like they now have the facilities to compete with anyone in the SEC. But one of them is that walkthrough room where a quarterback can literally get in front of a room, in front of a big screen, put up a defense, and walk through the plays and visually see and go out there and execute play after play without going out there and practice and doing it.
Trayon Webb is going to get his first carry. And he should get quite a bit of work tonight if things go according to plan. True freshman from Jacksonville, a couple of touchdowns against McNeese a couple of weeks ago. And now it's going to be 3rd down and 7. This is the 3rd trip into the red zone for the Gators. They've just got the 1 touchdown so far. As Montrell Johnson comes in. This is play number 9 on the drive.
Well, they have the size. I mean, they have 3 receivers out there, 2 of them 6'3". They can go up there in high point and win some one-on-ones.
Pearsall in motion. Mertz looked at him. Now flushed. Mertz trying to cut the edge, and he's cut down at the 8-yard line by Nakai Hill-Green, the linebacker who came to Charlotte from Michigan with a great defensive play to keep Mertz out of the end zone.
Yeah, that's a great job defensively. Once again, they try to sneak the tight end down the middle. They're going to pump both ways, faking like they're going to throw screens, and was hoping the tight end would be able to slip through the middle of the defense. Linebackers did not get fooled at all, stayed home, and they was able to make a play. And back-to-back 3rd down stops inside the red zone. Charlotte has to feel pretty good about that, especially after giving up some long drives.
A lot of transfers on that defense, a lot of FBS transfers. Hill-Green coming over from Michigan. Beautiful play. Now a 23-yard attempt for Smack. And that's his 2nd field goal. Biff Poggi's happy with that, as Florida has to settle for 3. When you meet Biff Poggi, you never forget it. There he is, the 63-year-old head coach in Charlotte. Spent 24 years as a prep coach in Baltimore, made St. Francis a powerhouse. 3 seasons with Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. He certainly deserves some of the credit for Michigan's appearances in the college football playoff in recent years. And he started going sleeveless when he was a high school coach. Said it was just hot in Baltimore.
Yeah,
and, it really didn't matter that much. And when he got the job at Charlotte, he said, well, I'm just going to stick with this look.
I mean, he knew he was coming to the swamp, and you and I are sweating our butts off with a tie right now up here in the booth. So I wish I had a cutoff on.
Well, Poggi lashed out after that 41-25 home loss to Georgia State last week, put his coaches and players on notice. He says, I'm on the warpath. I met with our coaches, and we're going to get it done the way I want it, or else. Coaches are going to be graded much more strictly. They're going to be on a much tighter leash. If you don't like that, well, you can find another home. He did walk that back this week when he engaged with the media again, but he said that did shrink the playbook this week on both sides of the ball to play faster. Trexler Ivy still in at quarterback. The passing QB having a hard time with this pressure. And he goes down. Bryce Thornton.
Just way too long in the play action. I mean, you got to, if you feel pressure as a quarterback and you can see it, you can kind of guess, okay, there may be some pressure coming off my edge on the bootleg. You got to whip that head around in anticipation in case you got to throw it in the ground. You got to throw it over your receiver's head, or you got to throw it hot. And just way too long on the action. And now all of a sudden you're in second and long, 2nd and 22.
First sack for Florida tonight. Ivy took some bad sacks last week. That's what had Biff Poggi steamed up, at least in part. And now Desmond Watson, the big 435-pounder, coming in. No gain for Bird.
So I've never seen Desmond, big 21, in person before. And I went down the field today and stood next to him. And that would not feel good to get hit by that guy.
No.
I mean, very large individual, very athletic. The coaching staff told us yesterday, Armstrong, was like, he never falls down. And that's always a great sign of being an athlete. Like, can you handle playing in the trenches without falling down? And for being 4'30", he does a great job with his balance.
Austin Armstrong, the defensive coordinator, says he can dunk a basketball. He's a tremendous athlete. Ivy in trouble again, this time able to avoid the sack. Caleb Banks, the Louisville transfer, came in, blew that up, and it's 4th down. Boy, Ivy just no room to breathe.
No. I mean, the last thing you want to do is get in a 3rd and long situation against this defensive line who overpowers and overspeeds your offensive line. We're seeing those guys hunt up front, doing a great job getting off on the snap count.
Trevor Etienne is going to take a turn on punt return. Standing at the 43-yard line from the end zone. Gagne able to get that low line drive kick away. Etienne with a lot of breathing room. Inside the 40, the 35, and steps out at the 31-yard line. Trevor Etienne, a sophomore from Jennings, Louisiana. 43-yard punt, 23-yard return.
Just find any way to get these two running backs the ball. You know, line drive, low punt, able to catch it on the move, and then just shows you how dangerous he is. We talk about the power and the speeds, and it kind of goes back to what we just talked about with Desmond Watson, just the balance. Great athletes have great balance and able to stay up with some of these weak tackles, these bump tackles. And both these running backs have demonstrated that they can handle any sort of contact.
3 possessions so far for Florida. And they've scored on all 3 drives, a touchdown in the opening series. And they've had to settle for field goals on their last 2 possessions, but great field possession to start this drive as they'll go to work from the 33-yard line of Charlotte. Etienne out of the pistol. They'll pop it to Pearsall. Trying to cut the corner, and he is going to be dumped at the 30-yard line. There is another penalty flag down. Charlotte has had quite a few penalties tonight. We'll see who this one goes against.
Illegal formation on the offense. Number 74 was not lined up on the line of scrimmage. That's a 5-yard penalty with a replay of 1st down.
It's been a tough night for Lindell Hudson. He got banged up on the last series and picks up a penalty here.
Well, these are little things that if you want to go to where Florida has a possibility of going, like you look at the East right now, and you know, Missouri started off hot. You know, Kentucky, I think, has been kind of up and down this season. Obviously, you took care of business versus Tennessee. You know, you'll get the matchup versus Georgia, but like, the East is pretty wide open. But silly little mistakes like they did versus Utah with double numbers on special teams and like that will hurt you.
On 1st and 15, Etienne. We get back to the line of scrimmage, and then a few yards more and an 8-yard gain, but another flag down.
Number 77, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot with a replay of 1st down.
And again, it's against Florida. That's Najee Harris, the true freshman guard. And a man down for Charlotte.
Timeout for an injured player.
Julius Welshoff, another Michigan transfer, helped to his feet. So a couple of penalties for Florida. Despite great field position, they're going the wrong way. Back in a moment. What a year for college football in the state of Florida. Florida State, ranked number 4 in the country, got that huge win at Clemson today, 31-24. Miami destroying Temple today, 41-7. And the Gators leading here against Charlotte in the first half, 13-0.
I mean, it's just amazing that it's been 6 years since all 3 are ranked inside the top 25. And it's just, you know, growing up in this state and seeing, you know, how dominant Florida was and how dominant Florida State was, and obviously Miami, you know, early 2000s and what they were able to accomplish. I mean, this is such a fertile recruiting ground, and it just seems like all 3 programs have kind of been up and down. So good to see that this state is rolling right now when it comes to football.
First down in a car ride for Florida. Etienne makes a man miss, and he'll get to the 41-yard line. Trevor Etienne Talked about his running ability, especially last week against Tennessee. He's really good out of the backfield as a receiver, too.
And it's so smooth right there, knowing where the defender was coming. You can kind of see out of his right eye, he saw that linebacker flashing, slow down just as he was able to catch it, and then whip right around to get positive yards.
So they get a chunk of it back. 2nd down and 18. Pearsall motions out to the left side. 3 receivers that way. Mertz will go across the middle, and it's caught. And inside the 30-yard line down to the 26. That's Jaquavian Frazier's, his first catch of the year, a gain of 13.
Now they're getting a lot of young players, but great job by that offense line up front, giving their quarterback plenty of time to sit in there, feel comfortable, and then execute throwing the ball down the field to get them back to 3rd and manageable after all those penalties.
Yeah, without Trey Wilson, we've seen Frazier's, we've seen Andy Jean. ETN coming back.
You know, that's the indicator right there, man zone. They feel like it's going to be man coverage. Quarterback going to pick his best matchup.
Mertz feeling some pressure, and down he goes from behind. Sacked for the first time tonight, Demetrius Knight. The Georgia Tech transfer, it's a loss of 8.
Well, man-to-man coverage, and no one was able to get open down the field. You see Graham trying to get through his reads, and just not enough time to be able to extend the plays with his legs. And great job by that back end, locking them up. 3rd and short situations, 3rd and medium situations, always expect man-to-man coverage. No one able to get open for Florida. And once again, I mean, you've had some good drives from the Gators and unable to be able to punch in for touchdowns these last 3 times, having to settle for, we'll see if they kick a field goal here, end up punting it. So they're going to take the penalty and possibly punt the football.
Yeah, they're going to take that flag.
Timeout, Florida. This is their final charge timeout.
Call a timeout. And so we're going to step aside as well. Florida calling a timeout with 8:26 to go before the half. 13-0 Gators. Coming up at the half, Florida's The Pride of the Sunshine Band performing right here on SEC Network Plus. Alongside Aaron Murray, I'm Clay Matvick. After a Florida timeout, 4th and long, we thought they may be getting ready to punt it away. Instead, they're going to bring out Trey Smack for what would be a 54-yard attempt.
This is the game to really, test some things out and put your kicker in situations that you may be in crunch time later on this season, need him to kick a big field goal.
He's hit 2 tonight from 27 and 23. This one on his way. And he's got plenty of leg. My Trey Smack taking over the full-time place kicking duties this week from Adam Mahalik, and he is proving his worth.
And he smacked it, didn't he? I mean, kaboom. Oh, rocket launcher off that right foot of his. He could have hit that from 60 plus. That's a good feeling. That's a weapon right there. I mean, look at the Florida State Clemson game earlier today. They had to bring a kicker from off the football team back on the football team, misses a somewhat chip shot.
Yeah.
Have to go to overtime. They end up losing the game to Florida State. You need those guys, especially in big time football games. It's a heck of a weapon.
So 4 plays, -3 yards. And they get the 54-yarder from Trey Smack, who was 3 for 3 tonight on field goal attempts and 4 for 4 on the year. And 16-0. And Charlotte's offense is going to get it back. It's been a tough night for the 49ers, whether it be Jalen Jones at quarterback or Trexler Ivy. Just nothing going their way. And again, they'll start from the 25. -8 rushing yards tonight for Charlotte. They've got 17 total yards. And they've only had it for 6.5 minutes.
And that's not good. And now we're seeing, Jalen started the game at quarterback. Ivy came in for a couple series. Now back to Jalen Jones. He's going to come in there and hopefully just be able to run the football a little bit and keep their defense off the field for hopefully 3 or 4 minutes. Give those guys a breather on that side.
Jalen Jones, he's going to sprint out, looking to run the option. He's going to keep it and dives ahead to the 30-yard line. Jalen Jones has been all over, played a couple of seasons at Jackson State for Deion Sanders, ended up at Bethune-Cookman, and Now Charlotte. There's the defensive coordinator, Austin Armstrong. His unit held Tennessee to just 16 points last week, third fewest in the Josh Heupel era.
25 plays given up in the first half, and we all know how fast Tennessee wants to execute their offense. It is just go, 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 go. So only to give up 25 plays lets you know that that defense was getting off the field on third downs.
He is a fresh-faced young man, just 30 years old. Jones keeps it and moves the pile for a first down. Jalen Jones with a much-needed first down for Charlotte. That's a gain of 9.
Well, that's what they want to do, and then that's where they feel like they can have some success. If you can get linebacker, the speed of Florida, and use it against them, get some motion, get some misdirection, then obviously you add a blocker with a quarterback run, and you add another number into the box for your advantage on offense, and you know, hopefully can put together a drive.
First down at the 38-yard line. Jalen Jones reuniting with Biff Poggi, played for him at St. Francis Academy in Baltimore. He's going to climb up under center. Two tight ends shifting to the right. Colin Weber, number 18, is the pass-catching tight end. But Jones wants a timeout. And the sleeveless Biff Poggi and the 49ers will talk about it with 6:49 to go before half. This young Florida defense came out with bad intentions tonight, almost forced a turnover on the first play, and they have not let up since.
I mean, this defense, for how young they are, their knowledge of this defense, first-year defense coordinator Armstrong has really got these guys playing at an extremely high level right now. And the crazy thing is, you talk to them, they said the alphas on this defense are the freshmen, are the sophomores. They've really taken advantage of
That's got to be encouraging. Nice option pitch. Biggest play of the night for Charlotte is Henry Rutledge, the small but speedy back out of Charlotte. Picks up 20 and a first down into Florida territory.
I mean, the option gain is just so tough. And listen, Florida prepared for it a little bit, obviously knowing that they're going to be two quarterback situations, but this is the advantage of playing two quarterbacks is a defense can only prepare for so much during the week. You're preparing for a pro-style offense, and then you're preparing for this type of offense, which is, you know, it's like almost triple option-esque. Very difficult.
That's the guy they want on the perimeter, Rutledge. He's the fastest guy on the team. He's going to line up as a receiver here to the top of your screen and now come in motion. They fake the handoff to him. Jones trying to slip a tackle, can't do it. It's going to be a short gain. Shamar James, number 6. There he is, the leading tackler for the Gators here in this young season.
These linebackers, and listen, it's never easy to play linebacker, especially in this conference, but when you look at the size of Caleb Banks, 320, Cam Jackson, 360, Desmond at 435, these guys are really allowed to use their athleticism and just run from sideline to sideline, and they are so much fun to watch. It's a young, aggressive.
Watson's in a category all by himself. Pressure from behind. Jones got rid of it. Man wide open on the sideline. It's Colin Weber. The tight end flies inside the 10-yard line. Wide open man. Jones found him. It's Weber for 34 yards, and here's Charlotte knocking on the door.
Oh, this is what happens when you have a running quarterback. There's so much worry about the run. You start bringing some pressure, and then just gets it off just in time. You see all the linebackers coming up, ready for the quarterback to run, and no one's paying attention. Number 18, who we highlighted to start this game, it's kind of their secret weapon at the tight end spot that can stretch the ball vertically down the field.
Only the 9th trip in the red zone for Charlotte this year. Chadwick Bird, the Iowa transfer, comes in. And some motion on the left side.
False start on the offense, number 79. That's a 5-yard penalty, and it remains first down.
Jasper Parks, transfer from Sioux Falls, with the penalty, and that's what Biff Poggi was kind of upset about last week after the game, and part of the reason he went off in that press conference, just mistakes at critical times.
Well, you have to think too, for this football team, how many times are they in front of 90,000+ fans? I mean, this is one of the loudest environments in all of college football. They don't see this or hear this week in and week out. You can do as best as you want with stereos in practice, but until you get in front of it, it's tough.
Little inside flip to Jake Clemens, the tight end. Very little gain. Yeah, they played in front of 35,000 at Maryland. Nothing like this here in the Swamp.
Very few places like the Swamp, and great job of, this is what you want to do. You want to be able to string it out, make him go sideline to sideline. And we talk about the speed of those linebackers. If you get the quarterback hesitating at all, run or pitch it, Scooby, who hopefully is okay, is going to be able to use his speed to get around offensive linemen to make that tackle.
Yeah, Williams goes off, favoring that right arm. He was so good last week against Tennessee. 2nd down and goal to go. Rolling out, Jones directing traffic, now trying to get to the edge, and he's going to get to the 6-yard line. 3rd down, goal to go, Manny Nunnery. The versatile linebacker kept him out of that end zone.
Very versatile. And the coaches have told us, I mean, the position flexibility. So being able to play inside and outside. You see him coming in there when Scooby Williams just went out and kind of was still adjusting his helmet, for goodness sakes, and was still able to track down the athletic Jalen Jones to be able to knock him out. Florida's had some struggles on offense, scoring inside the red zone. We'll see what Charlotte can do inside the 10-yard line here, 3rd down. They need to take a timeout.
Play clock down to 0.
Timeout.
They did get the timeout.
This is their final charge timeout of the half.
So both teams out of timeouts now with 2:34
This will be a 30-second timeout.
to go here in the half. Mistake prone. We talked about that penalty earlier for Charlotte. I mean, you've got 70 new ball players, 48 transfers, so they came from other programs. You've got a new head coach. So much to think about going into a new conference this year. Yeah, there are going to be some growing pains for Charlotte 49ers football this year, without a doubt.
It's early in the season, and I will say this. I mean, tonight has been impressive to come into this stadium on the road after a tough loss last week against a Florida team that has all the momentum in the world right now, and to have 3 stops, you know, 2 of them being in the red zone, forced 3 straight field goals after giving up some pretty long possessions where you think your defense would be just dead exhausted, and now all of a sudden be on the cusp, put some points on the board. That's a win for this football team here in the first half.
And there's a chance they could have this at a 1-score game going to halftime. 3rd down, goal to go. And timeout being called for from the Florida sideline again. No, they can't. That's right. They cannot call back-to-back timeouts.
Now, you can call back-to-back as long as you don't call back-to-back timeouts.
Correct.
Yes.
You're right. Pardon me. Yeah, you could see Austin Armstrong very upset that the official, he was trying to get his attention, and the official was kind
out of timeouts. Please reset the play
oblivious
clock
to the fact he was calling for a
seconds. It will be
timeout.
3rd down.
Well, you talk about just some of the mental mistakes. We've seen Florida have some mental mistakes this year, and Armstrong, you know, he loves the youth and the excitement and the future of this team, but you're also going to have some hiccups with that youth as well.
3rd and goal. Jones stays on his feet. Touchdown. So Charlotte gets back in this football game. Jalen Jones takes it in from 7 yards out.
Oh, it's man-to-man coverage, all-out blitz, and a tremendous job up front by that offensive line. 76, Kevin Williams, who moved from left tackle to left guard. They kind of did something unique when they moved their guards to tackles and their tackles to guards. I don't know if I've ever seen that done before by a football team, but it worked out right there. And then you give Jalen any kind of sliver of daylight, and he was able to squeak on through for 7 points for this football team.
Kyle Cunanan, true freshman walk-on, hits the extra point. So the first 4 drives, 15 plays, just 17 yards. They go 8 plays, 75 yards, and score a touchdown on this drive, and are down now 16-7.
It's a ball game. I mean, Florida has literally driven up and down the field, and this is what happens when you cannot execute inside the red zone and you have to settle for field goals instead of touchdowns. You know, it feels like Florida has just run up and down the field, own the time of possession. You know, once again, you look up, it's a 16-7 game. Still 2 possessions, but
want to go back and clean up that situation right before the touchdown. Austin Armstrong was trying to get a timeout. Florida was out of timeouts. Finally got the officials' attention, and they did stop play.
Yeah.
Help me out here. Shouldn't that have been a penalty?
It should have been a penalty. You can't call
and
a timeout.
we didn't get one.
Yes, if you can't call a timeout. It was a famous basketball game that the coach called a timeout what he was supposed to, and ended up costing the game.
Chris Webber called one for Michigan in the Final Four one year, and that's famous. I think that's probably what you're thinking of.
Yep.
But anyway, it was kind of a weird chain of events there. But Charlotte, to their credit, not get rattled, and they score a touchdown, their first points of the game. And there's the third rushing touchdown of the year for Jalen Jones. Cunanan kicks it off. It's a short kick, and that's going to go out of bounds. And so Florida, even though they don't have any timeouts, kind of good field position and a chance to string some things together and potentially get in the end zone again before halftime.
Well, they've moved the ball. I mean, this has been really efficient. It's been fun to watch. And you look at Graham Mertz's numbers, I mean, just absolutely perfection. 11 of 12, 189, 1 touchdown. He's done a great job inside the pocket. He's thrown the ball extremely efficiently
Free kick
on
out
the
of
run.
bounds on the kicking team. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
And then we talked about the last possession. Like, they have the size at the receiving position to give you confidence that you should be able to win one-on-one battles inside the red zone. We'll see if they can string together a touchdown drive before halftime. And then don't forget, they get the ball to start the second half as well. So a nice little 2-for-1 would be nice.
Yeah, chance to double dip. Two and a half to go. They'll start at the 35-yard line after that penalty. Mertz going to swing it out to Montrell Johnson, looking for blockers. And he thought he had a seam, and that closed quickly as Yabi Okiranoma makes the tackle. Okiranoma made the SEC All-Freshman team at Alabama back in 2018. Still playing college football now at Charlotte. Second and 14, Johnson out of the backfield. He'll get it. A lot of room. Splits the defenders and gets to the 34-yard line. And the clock continues to run. Nobody can stop it. Neither team has timeouts remaining. Third down and 11. Need the 45-yard line. It's been a good half for Mertz. Just one incompletion. .185 yards passing. Boardingham, the tight end.
They're going to play cover 2, try to keep everything in front of them. Middle of the field will be wide open. See if they can sneak a tight end, or even Ricky down the middle of the field.
Mertz standing tall. Now getting pressured. Hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. Mertz got hammered by Demon Clowney, the Ole Miss transfer, and both are slow to get up. Demon Clowney, the cousin of Ravens linebacker Jadeveon Clowney, throws a punishing hit on Mertz right as he got rid of it, and both came up slow.
Just swallowed him right up. Once again, cover 2 is not the defense you want to be able to throw the ball vertically down the field. No one open as Graham tried to get through it, and all of a sudden he turns around and Clowney's right in his face, knocking him down. And Mertz is good. It looks like Clowney's getting up. Looks like a hit to area that we don't want to be hit in.
Way to be delicate with
very
that.
Gentle, very gentle.
You know, another thing that has endeared Graham Mertz to the fan base here in Gainesville and to his teammates is how tough he is.
Yep.
You know, last week he had both hands banged up, played through that, of course, and led the win against Tennessee. He's been hit hard here tonight in this game with Charlotte.
That's the best way to build the trust of a team. Unfortunately, you don't want to see your quarterback getting knocked around and having to deal with little nicks and knacks here or there. You like to keep that jersey clean, but that is one way to show your team and build that leadership. Can you stand in there during tough times and take some shots?
So punting for the first time is Florida. Jeremy Crawshaw, the Gators punter for the last 3 years. His mom, Allie, flying all the way from Sydney, Australia to watch him kick tonight. Rutledge calls for the fair catch. I mean, that's a long plane ride from Sydney, Australia to Gainesville, Florida.
Well, I wonder how aggressive right now Charlotte's going to be, knowing that Florida gets the ball back at halftime. Do you try and push it a little bit here? And I think a lot's going to dictate who the quarterback is right now. Do you keep Jalen out there, which it looks like they will, which to me it signals that they are going to be pretty satisfied. It's down 16-7, which I would be too, coming into this stadium, knowing that you're only down by 9 heading into halftime. It's a good feeling.
And they'd have to get to about the 30-yard line of Florida to feel comfortable sending Kyle Cunanan out there. His long is 45. So they've got a long way to go. First down, Jones sprinting out, cuts it up, tries to get to the edge, and he's going to be pulled down at the 22-yard line by Shamar James, a gain of 3. 50 seconds to go.
Oh, you also want to be careful as an offense too. You don't have your throwing quarterback in there in Ivy. Last thing you want to do is compromise Jalen in any way and try to have him force the ball down the field and let Florida steal some points before halftime.
Jack Hestera, the leading receiver for Charlotte, has not made a catch tonight. He's number 19 at the bottom of the screen. Jones on the option will keep it. Gets to the outside and has room. And he's going to waltz out at midfield. Miguel Mitchell escorted him to the sideline, and now that changes the way that Charlotte thinks about the next play.
That was pretty sexy right there. One-on-one with the freshman Castal, and just makes him miss in the open field, and then the acceleration afterwards was, woo, he looked pretty smooth. That, you see why he was a Florida Gator once before.
Well, they stay with Jones. Now you can think about maybe getting into a field goal situation for Conana. Jones looking and down. That's the worst thing that could have happened for the 49ers. Shamar James with the second sack of the night for the Gators.
Yeah, that ends it right there. Right down the middle of that offense.
That is the end of the first half.
You're seeing both linebackers come, and then running back tries to go low, just does not get enough of Shamar James.
Well, Florida's got the lead at the half, but it's not as big of a spread as maybe some people would have thought. 16-7. Gators leading Charlotte after the first half hour.
I mean, a very efficient first half for Florida. The scoreboard doesn't show it, but offense played great. Defense did their thing, just unable to score inside the red zone. Touchdowns, had to settle for 3 field goals.
243 yards of offense for Graham Mertz and the Gators. The lone touchdown for Florida coming from Arlis Boardingham. We played 2, 16-7. Florida leading at the half.
Welcome in, SEC Halftime Report. Dory Noka, Chris Doring, Benjamin Watson. Of course, we've got a lot of games going on right now in the SEC, but we've had some big ones earlier in the day as well, and that's what we want to show you now. Starting in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, taking on unbeaten Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin still trying to get Nick Saban for the first time. Jackson Dart, finds a wide open hole, 10-yard run.
Sorry, early in the game, it felt like Ole Miss had all the momentum, scoring points. Defensively, they made some stops, but Alabama just kept chipping away, trying to push, and hung in there well enough in the first 30.
Jalen Milroe to Jalen Hale, and then Jalen Milroe. He's got Burton right there on the 3-yard line.
A couple times they were within scoring, ability to score quickly, and Jalen Milroe makes the mistake there.
Defense bails them out, though.
Defense bails them out, and then they're going to have a series here where it gets even worse.
Corey Brooks, their next possession, just before half, I should say. Dart to Kyron Heath, 12 yards. Ole Miss driving, looking for something. They know they're going to get the ball back to start the second half, so you got a little field goal attempt to go up 10-6, and they miss it. No good.
Everybody loves kickers until that.
I think that was a good summary of the first half. Missed opportunities for Ole Miss.
9-7 Bama. Milroe hit hard, and he throws a strike to Hale. Gets the wind knocked out of him after he had just gotten it knocked out of him a few minutes before that. Look at him. Fire.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
your leader, people.
Really impressed by the way he stands in the pocket with the blitz coming, delivers a strike downfield.
Impressed the way Alabama decided to run the football in the second half. They averaged about 1 yard per carry in the first half. Second half, they just owned the line of scrimmage. McClellan made a nice move there to get outside.
Yeah, McClellan had 54 rushing yards of this 75-yard drive for Alabama to put them up 2 scores, 24-10. 2 minutes to go. Ole Miss do or die time. 4th and 16. Dart hit, incomplete pass. They had already converted a 4th and 23. And Alabama gets the win. Makes people feel good about them yet again. 24-10. How about Auburn and Texas A&M? Auburn unbeaten. A&M with that one loss to Miami. Road team has won 8 of the last 11 in this series. Connor Wigman, second in the country in QBR. Finds Reuben Owens, goes 26 yards for a first down. 2 plays later, 2nd and 10, Wigman for, well, his pass is
almost
knocked away, yes, by Elijah McAllister. 3rd and 10, next play, Auburn getting to Wigman for the sack. They had a couple of those on the day. Those are field goals, all they got, 6-0 game. And then Peyton Thorne taken down. How about 7 Aggie sacks?
The 7 Aggie sacks.
15 tackles for loss.
Negative plays were
Texas A&M D-line I thought was really active, got a lot of penetration in this game, and made it hard for Peyton Thorne as well as Robbie Ashford.
Oh, Wigman hit hard, low. Left ankle injury, left the game 8 of 14, 70 yards.
Here's why you bring a guy like Max Johnson in, though.
Oh, because he's got a brother.
He's got a brother. He's got some chemistry with his brother, believe it or not. Hit him
Max
a couple
to Jake.
times. Yes. 2 touchdown drives right out of the locker room. Kind of seized the game from there with this touchdown. Evan Stewart, how about the dime?
But you know, with the portal, not everybody's got a Max Johnson sitting behind your
rarely.
quarterback. It's a luxury at this point, yeah.
A lot of people don't even have starters, let alone a backup.
Very good point you make there.
Watch
And then watch this
Jimbo.
play.
Jimbo, get out of the way.
Jimbo, what are you doing, Jimbo?
Make a tackle, do
Make
something.
a hit, Jimbo.
Hey, but let's talk about Eugene Asante. He's been all over the field this game as well as the last few weeks. He's a guy who was on, I believe, practice squad last year. Really become a star for this Auburn defense.
20-10, your score there late in the 4th. Amari Daniels going to break one 79 yards. Would end up setting up Le'Veon Moss for a 4-yard run. Aggies roll, folks. He's out of gas.
I thought he was going to get stripped here, man.
They hold Auburn to 200 yards of offense. Auburn never actually reached the red zone on offense. The 7 A&M sacks. Auburn played 3 different quarterbacks. You get the point. 27-10 Aggies win. Kentucky Vanderbilt. Ray Davis, welcome home. Went for 129 in a Vandy win at Kentucky last year. Now Davis, of course,
Not Ray Davis.
Not Ray
But
Davis.
that's you talking
It's the other guy.
Yeah. 7-zip catch.
Clean.
Hey, we clamored for a fast start. That's exactly what they got from the offense and the defense. Relentless pressure.
my.
How about the pick 6? That's the 3rd non-offensive score of the year. If you like those kind of plays, stick around too, Dory.
Yeah. It's not going to stop at 3, I don't think. That was Maxwell Hairston. More from him in a bit. Swan had a tough game. And then Devin Leary's picked up by John House IV without a helmet now. 3 and out, though. Go the doors. Leary one more time. Barryon Brown. Now that's a strike. 55 yards.
Yeah,
he had a-
balls and then misses easy ones. I don't understand it.
Yeah, but again, you talk about starting fast, and Kentucky starts fast. They get 21 points in the first quarter, and we think they're on route to a route, but Vanderbilt has something to say about that.
You go en route to a route, en route to a route, en route to a route. Cedric Alexander, touchdown, 24-10.
I go en route to a route, I think.
It's all about, it's all about contact.
I think
It's contact.
Okay. And then a big hit on Leary. That's one of his 2 interceptions on the
Not on
day.
him there, though.
No.
Nice job by Barr getting some pressure and forcing the errant throw.
But they hold Kentucky, to a 3 and out. Then Vandy turns it over. Swan, one of his 3 picks.
Teamwork.
Yeah, Derek Jackson, the lateral to Andrew Phillips, and Phillips takes it deep into Commodore territory. Nifty little play.
Sorry, I said it earlier today. It was just, for a game that featured 70-plus points, it was a yucky offensive day.
Yucky.
Yeah.
Underutilized adjective.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, it just kind of yucky.
Yeah, it's a yucky day. Davis, 1-yard touchdown. Ray Davis, 17 carries, 78 yards, 2 scores against his former mates. Fourth quarter, Leary to Dane Key.
Not good sportsmanship here, though, B-Dub.
No.
Oh, you can't do that.
He's lucky. He's lucky.
Great catch.
He's lucky he didn't catch an uppercut.
Well, Vince
to be
Merrill
honest
caught
with
him
you.
first on the sideline, then Stoops let him have it.
Yeah,
So, learning moment there for
Did
him.
they throw a flag?
Yes,
They did.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Another pick. Again,
pick
Swan,
six.
3 interceptions, 16 for 40. Left the game after an injury in the fourth quarter. Kentucky 4-0 to start the season. By the way, that was Hairston again. First SEC player with multiple pick sixes in a game since, guy maybe you've heard of in 2015, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Alabama. All right, so of the 3 games we just showed you, A&M win, Bama win, Kentucky win, what jumps out to you?
Bama resiliency. I mean, it was not a pretty game. It wasn't a pretty first half by any means. The offensive line, again, having issues protecting. Jalen Milroe took hit after hit. Found themselves down at the halftime break, but came out and really owned the line of scrimmage in the second half. Ran the football, which we thought they'd do earlier, en route to a double-digit win.
Yeah, I thought Texas A&M, the way they played after Connor Wigman was hurt, a lot's been said about Connor Wigman's development under Bobby Petrino, but to have Max Johnson be able to come in and then play that way on offense, I thought that was tremendous for that football team.
No doubt about it. Again, bunch of games going on right now. 5 games in the late window of the SEC, and we'll have all of that for you on SEC Football Final later in the night.
Look at this catch from Ricky Pearsall. He has 79 receiving yards in this football game. 79 of the 188 for Florida in the first half. They lead it 16-7 over Charlotte at the break. Early games today in the SEC. Texas A&M beating Auburn in College Station 27-10. Kentucky over Vanderbilt 45-28. Kentucky is the next opponent for Florida in Lexington next week. Alabama struggled in the first half with Ole Miss, but pulled it together in the second half to beat Lane Kiffin and company. And Tennessee, no problem with UTSA in their bounce-back game after the loss in the Swamp a week ago. Graham Mertz, only 2 incompletions in the first half, has 188 yards and a touchdown to Arlis Boardingham. Second half coming up. At the half, Florida with the lead here at the Swamp, 16-7 over the 49ers of Charlotte as we get ready for the start of the third quarter. Alongside Aaron Murray, I'm Clay Matvick. A lot of positives for sure in that first half for Florida. 4 scoring drives, but just 1 touchdown.
Yep.
And that running game just hasn't got on track yet.
Well, it's been an efficient offense. They've moved the ball up and down the field. Some pretty long drives, too,
Yep.
80, 90 yards. Just inability inside the 10-yard line to punch it in there. And then all of a sudden you look up, it's 16-7 in a game you feel like you should have scored 20 points in. So I'm not completely discouraged. They got to go out there and they just got to execute inside the red zone, plain and simple. Turn those field goals into touchdowns. It's a different ball game.
QB comparison, Graham Mertz, of course, for Florida, really good. Has been in command of this offense the last few weeks. Meanwhile, Jalen Jones, one of the 2 quarterbacks for Charlotte. He's 3 for 3, but it's his running game that is his specialty. And he did have that 30-yard run right at the end of the first half, but really nothing sparking that offense either.
No, I mean, he had some decent runs, and you saw the athleticism. I would like to see this staff for Charlotte kind of pick a quarterback and just stick with him for a little bit. Jalen came in for 1 series, then Ivy came in for a couple, then you went back to Jalen. Like, there's been no – it's not like the offenses are the same either. They're 2 different offenses. So as a unit, it's hard to get into any sort of rhythm when you keep ping-ponging it back and forth between quarterbacks. So I think Jalen will be the guy to start the second half. We'll see if they can continue the success they finished last half off with.
Florida will start with the football. Remember, at the beginning of the game, on the opening drive for the Gators tonight, they were backed up at their own 5-yard line and marched it right down the field and scored. In 4 minutes and 27 seconds. They're going to get the ball to start the second half. And maybe we'll see more of Trevor Etienne in the second half, too. He was pretty quiet in the first half, just a couple of carries for 20 yards. Going to have a 13-yard run. But after that big game last week, maybe they're letting him take a rest, perhaps. He had 172 a week ago against the Volunteers. This is ETN from the 5-yard line. Cuts it back to the middle. It's a good return for Trevor. And Graham Mertz will walk the offense up.
Been really impressed with him in the first half. The ability to push the ball vertically down the field, throwing on the run, just taking care of it. He's done that all year, though. He's done a great job of putting in the spot where only his guys can go out there and make a play. And then this catch is just silly from Ricky, going up one-handed, looking like Michael Jordan out there. I mean, it looked like the logo. Legs sprawled out, up in the air, looked like he's dunking it at the rim.
And remember, Florida is going to get some guys back here for the second half. Damian George, Micah Mazuka, Dante Zanders all had first half suspensions going back to that scuffle at the end of the Tennessee game. Mertz on his feet will track it out at the 31-yard line, a pickup of 3. I guess that could go into it too. You know, not everything going according to plan in the first half at times for the Florida offense, but they were missing a lot of people.
Yeah, they're missing. I mean, they're missing from the center onto the right tackle. So a lot going on from that side. I mean, one of the third downs and 3rd and 1 inside the 5-yard line, they weren't able to get it. And I guarantee you, if they had their 3 starters in there, they probably would have been able to run the ball and get it.
Stretch play, Montrell Johnson. That's going to be a first down run for Montrell. 10-yard pickup and a first down. He's fun to watch.
I just love we'll continue to reiterate what they're able to do from the pistol, that little spin cycle run there from Johnson, but it allows them to run a pro-style offense without giving anything away.
Pressure from behind. Mertz lost the football, and it's recovered by Charlotte. I think Charlotte got on it. Yes, they did. First turnover for the Gators tonight. Demon Clowney recovers it. Okira Noma knocked it away from Graham Mertz.
Just one-on-one on the outside. Your left tackle got to be a little bit better. Then Oki does a great job just getting around, and yeah, it looks like he's able to punch that football out from Graham Mertz.
Okira Noma came from Michigan, product of St. Francis. He played for Biff Poggi in high school. He's been to Alabama, had a stop at UT Martin, now at Charlotte, and he forces a big turnover as the 49ers have it with great field position for their first drive of the second half. Down just 9 points. 3 receivers to the boundary. In the flat, nowhere to go for Shadrick Byrd. He's going to be eaten up and thrown back at the 42-yard line by Jordan Castell.
And they were setting up a double pass. You wonder why the ball was thrown so far behind the line of scrimmage. This was on purpose. It was supposed to be a catch, and they actually had a receiver open down the field on a deep corner route if he was able to have time, but the young freshman safety going up there making plays, getting dirty in the backfield.
Austin Armstrong, Billy Napier, man, they couldn't say enough about Jordan Castell and so many of those true freshmen on that side of the ball. Thomas goes in motion. Second down and 20 now. Jones on the options, going to keep it himself. Trying to get to the outside, bounces off a tackler, and then finally shoved down by Castell. He's going to have to settle for 6, but there's no doubt Jalen Jones is their best runner.
Yeah, this is why I was so confused in the first half of why you only gave him 1 possession, then you kind of yanked him. And I don't know if it was more of an emotional thing. You know, he was a Gator. It was for essentially a cup of coffee, and he was on his way out of here for some off the field stuff. But he's still at the place he originally committed to. So maybe they just needed to calm him down, and he's ready to go now.
He's going to throw here, but he throws it short, and that's going to be a long way from the line to gain. Bryce Cannon brought down by Kelby Collins, who was an Under Armour All-American last year, and it's 4th down.
I mean, the tenacity in which that defensive line can get after you up front. Caleb Banks, 88, had a great game, just putting the pressure on the opposing quarterback, and man, we're trying for a long field goal. They saw Florida's kicker come out there and kick a 50-plus Trey Spack. They're going to try to one-up it right now.
Yeah, for Chance to pull within a touchdown. This is a 55-yard attempt. And it is no good. Kyle Cunanan gave it the good old college try. Not enough mustard on her. So it stays 16-7 Gators. A little bit on that strip sack that caused the first Florida turnover here tonight. There was a long discussion between Billy Napier and Graham Mertz, possibly about how long he stays in this football game, but Graham's still in there.
Listen, they got to start some more touchdowns before you even think about taking him out of the football game. I mean, it's way too close. And listen, and also he needs reps. I know he's worked his tail off this offseason, but he needs game reps.
Mertz pressured again, gets away from it, and throws a strike to Ricky Pearsall. Man, he has been good tonight. Onto the plus side of the field, a gain of 16 and a first down.
And that's a great job right there. Graham Mertz, previous possession, kind of stood back in the pocket a little bit too long right there, stepped up, and then look at the route running from Ricky, and then settles, sees his quarterback moving in the pocket and finds the nice pocket, presents his numbers for the easy completion.
Just over 11 minutes to go, third quarter. Mertz to Etienne, picking his way left side, now finds the sideline, and he's got a first down run. Trevor Etienne, good on his feet. That's a gain of a dozen.
Well, Clay, you brought it up. It's like, you know, Etienne had such a monster game last week. Like, where was he in the first half? You know, 2 carries for 4 yards. You know, I want to see more of that here in the second half, and you know, I don't think they're saving him because he's playing punt return and kick return.
I'll give it to Trevor again. This time, not much, maybe a 3-yard pickup for Etienne. Max Brown was warming up during that last commercial break, the backup quarterback to Graham Mertz. And just think about it, if Charlotte takes advantage of that turnover and they get any points, I mean, you're talking a 1-score game.
Yeah, and just the way Florida dominated in that first half, it just doesn't feel like it. But yeah, they're one big play away from this thing being right in it.
Here's Mertz, plenty of time, flips it across, that is caught by Douglas. Caleb Douglas, another guy who's been kind of quiet at times this year, played well at Utah in the opener. Kind of waiting for a breakout game still this season.
Well, and it goes back right there. I love that play. It goes back to formation into the boundary. You leave your receiver one-on-one to the outside, and there's a ton of room for him. And as a quarterback, you look up, and they shifted their defense all the way essentially into the boundary, and you have all that green space for your receiver. Just throw in a quick slant. You just catch it, throw it, rip it, put it on his chest, and let him get you to a 3rd and short situation.
Montrell Johnson in the Wildcat formation. Florida has not converted on 3rd down yet tonight, and this is going to be close. Johnson again spinning. Mertz thinks he got it. It'll depend on the spot. And they will have it. A first down. Montrell Johnson out of that Wildcat formation.
You had 3 receivers into the boundary. See if they can flip it out real quick.
Mertz is going to go to the other side. Isolates Douglas. Tries to slip a tackle, but Burton brought him down.
And it's the same formation once again into the boundaries. If you have numbers into the boundary, you're going to throw the quick screen. If not, it's one-on-one up there. You just showed a slant, so the DB's playing a little bit inside leverage. You give a quick hitch route, you get a nice 7-yard gain on first down.
Graham Mertz still just 2 incompletions in this ball game tonight. He's over 200 yards passing. Back in the red zone. Trying to finish a drive with a touchdown. It hasn't come easy tonight for the Gators. Johnson stacked up. He's going to bring up 3rd down. Prince Bima, leading tackler for Charlotte a year ago, makes the stop. No gain for Johnson that time.
Right, and give credit to this defensive line for Charlotte. They've done a great job on some known rundowns where they think Florida's just going to line up and try to bully them a little bit in order to pick up first downs, and they've gotten big, they've gotten physical. They haven't been able to be pushed back to the 2nd level.
Our defensive coordinator is Ryan Osborne. He was a GA here under Dan Mullen a few years back. Mertz rolling out on 3rd down and 3. Little stiff arm to get away from the pressure. Throws to the end zone, and it's incomplete. Intended for Sanders. Okir Anoma, who forced that fumble on the last series for Florida, was chasing Mertz all over the field.
Once again, not successful on a third down situation inside the red zone. I mean, that's 3 straight trips inside the 20-yard line that is going to result in an extra point. I don't believe the last time was in the red zone when they made the big field goal. But settling for 3 is not going to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside for this Florida Gator offense.
One of the positives from tonight so far has been that Trey Smack has solidified this place-kicking job. 3 for 3 tonight, and he is good again from 36. Smack smacks it through. It's 19-7 now. Gators on top. Graham Mertz in the Florida offense with 5 scoring drives, but they're settling for way too many 3-pointers. 9 plays, 46 yards. Smack a 36-yard field goal. He's 4 for 4 tonight.
And you said it before break, like it's good to know that you can trust this kicker to make some pretty big field goals. The one in the first half was, could have been good for about 60 yards. So that's you feel good about that, but you gotta execute in the red zone. It comes down to running the football. We started this half talking about like where's ETN been this football game. Like you want to score in the red zone when things are condensed. You have to get physical at the line of scrimmage. You have to run the football, and they just have not had the same kind of success tonight as they did last week versus Tennessee.
Saw that in the Oklahoma game today. Cincinnati moved the ball pretty well against the Sooners, just couldn't finish inside the red zone. Here's another touchback, and so Charlotte will have it at the 25-yard line. SEC Network Volleyball, another reminder on Friday, number 22 Kentucky squaring off against Georgia in Athens. Cats have beaten the Dogs the last 5 meetings. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern. Speaking of Kentucky, the football team today went to 4-0, beat Vanderbilt. Remember last year, Florida lost to Kentucky. So now this year, we've got to go on the road to Lexington and try to avenge that loss. Kentucky's playing pretty well right now. Jalen Jones sprints out. He's going to option pitch it to the tight end again inside. We've seen that play several times with not a lot of success. Weber wrapped up for a 1-yard gain. Here's the game last year, and that was coming off of the upset of Utah. They were supposed to go in there riding some momentum, and they just kind of laid an egg.
Well, it's the turnovers. Anthony Richardson's a heck of a talent, but it still doesn't matter how good you are. If you turn the ball over, you're not going to win football games. And Graham Mertz to start the season has done a great job of not putting it into harm's way, taking care of it, understanding that he's got a good running game, he's got a good defense. I just have to be smart with the football.
Jones out of the gun, 2nd and 9. Deep handoff. Bird to the 30. There's Cam Jackson, big number 99. How good was he last week? I mean, playing at such a high level.
He changed the whole game. He allowed Florida to play 2 high safeties versus Tennessee's defense because he dominated up front. And that's what you want to do with some of these offenses nowadays. It's hard to stop them with single high coverage. You got to play 2 high, but then you're going to be forced into what we like to call light boxes. That's when you need big guys like Cam Jackson to take over.
Only 5 first downs for Charlotte tonight. Did they get one there? A low throw. It's caught right at the sticks by Colin Weber to keep the drive alive. A 6-yard pickup.
It looked like some confusion on Florida's defense not getting set up and just an easy pitch and catch. Once again, Weber has been the go-to guy, the tight end, moving him around, trying to find some matchups.
29% of Charlotte's catches coming into the night coming from that tight end room. Jones is 6 for 6 throwing the football tonight. But overall, moving this offense has been difficult. Here's Henry Rutledge. He's got a burst of speed across the 45-yard line, and he'll get 9 yards on first down.
Yeah, as the coaching staff told us, I mean, he's a gadget player. He's someone you can move around. You can give him these jet sweeps. Fastest guy on the football team. And you see what he can do when he gets a little bit ahead of steam and some space in front of him, able to get this to a 2nd and short. And this is where this offense wants to be. If you're going to run triple option, you have to be successful on 1st and 2nd down. And you're going to get a penalty for too many guys on offense, too many guys on the field.
Dwayne Thomas was
Illegal
running to try and get
substitution
off.
on the offense, breaking the huddle with 12 players. It's a 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
You know, why haven't we seen more of Henry Rutledge? He had that 46-yard punt return touchdown last week, and when he has touched the ball tonight, he's been explosive.
Yeah, especially with some of the guys on offense banged up, especially Mack, number 12. You know, someone we haven't talked about either is Hestera. I mean, he's their number 1 receiver, hasn't touched the ball tonight, so.
Jones on 2nd and 6, hit as he throws, and this is airmailed over the receiver. Uman Mielen, the edge rusher, the tall speedster for Florida, just leveled Jones.
And just got out just in time. And go back to your question about why we haven't seen some of these guys play tonight so far for this offense. I think they're still trying to figure out their identity a little bit. I think that's the hardest thing. You have 2 quarterbacks. I don't know if they've necessarily committed to one or the other just yet. And when you're doing that, you're trying to figure out multiple schemes. And I think at some point you do have to say, this is who we're going to go with, and this is the offense we're going to run, and we can build what we want to do with the rest of the players.
The offensive coordinator, Mike Miller, was on Alabama's staff when they rotated Jalen Hurts and Tua. He said that wasn't easy. This is much harder. Pumping. Jones flushed out of the pocket, being chased from behind. Needs a few more yards, but he throws on the run instead, and he finally hits Hestera. Big play for Charlotte, but there's a flag behind the play. And this might be coming back.
Yeah, I think he crossed the line of scrimmage when he let that absolute rocket go. Finally got to see number 19, Hestera, get involved, but unfortunately it looks like this one's going to come back. I think he would have been able to get it if he just would have tugged it and run for the first down.
Illegal forward pass on the offense, number 4. The passer was beyond the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball. That is a loss of down, 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 4th down.
Yeah, probably about a half yard too far when he let it go. It's where the ball is when he throws it, not where the body is, but I think all ball and body were ahead of that 40-yard line marker when he let go.
So now 4th down, the punting unit will come out. Hestera, still no official catches because that one's wiped out due to the penalty. He had 109 yards receiving last week against Georgia State. Nothing tonight. So Pearsall will come on to send it away on the punt. Pearsall is back. He has been electric at times tonight. Standing at the 24-yard line. Boy, that was partially blocked. Derek Wingo got his fingers on it. Still going to roll inside the Florida 20-yard line. Somehow that turns into a 48-yard punt for Grant Gagne, despite Wingo getting a piece of the pigskin. 4:04 to go, 3rd quarter. It's a 12-point game. Florida leading Charlotte. And Gators have relied on their passing game. Real credit to the Charlotte defense tonight. Defensive coordinator Ryan Osborne said this week, you know, main focus is to stop the run, and for the most part they've done that.
Yeah, they've done a great job of that. I mean, 77 yards against this team, and what they did last week to Tennessee is a huge achievement, and the majority of the reason why this is only a 19-7 game is how effective they've been defensively against the run.
Montrell Johnson has been the leading rusher tonight for Florida, and he's going to fall out sideways at the 25-yard line, pushed out by Ball 4. It's gain of 8 for Montrell.
We just haven't seen many, carry. We just haven't seen many explosive runs. And I think that, listen, if you want to run for 150, 200 plus yards in certain games, it's hard to do that by just getting 5, 6, 7 yards. You got to get those 60, 70-yard pops, and we haven't seen that effectiveness getting to the 3rd level from these running backs here tonight.
Average yards per play is just over 7 tonight for Florida as Johnson gets another carry. That'll move the chains. Montrell Johnson gets 3. His mom drives 7 hours from New Orleans every home game. She's here again tonight.
Whew. That is a heck of a drive. All right, this is when you run the ball, see if you can get these safeties to start creeping up at some point, get some one-on-one coverage on the outside.
A reverse, They've got blockers. This is Andy Jean, the freshman, to the 50-yard line, and he swung out of bounds at the 46. Isaiah Hazel with the tackle. It's a gain of 25 on the gadget play.
Our guy Graham Mertz, check out number 15 if you see him in the screen. Tries to lead the cavalry down the field and then gets BAM!
Ooh.
Run over. Come on, Graham. You can't embarrass the quarterback family like that. You gotta give a little bit more oomph into it. You know the offense line's gonna make fun of him tomorrow on film.
You know, he took that in the helmet, too.
I know.
He's a physical player.
Not there.
Low snap. Mertz recovers, a little behind Frazier's. He makes the catch and then angles out of bounds just shy of the 40-yard line. Hill Green pushes him out. It's a gain of 5. You know, that's a positive play, and it could have been a disaster.
Well, and it's a smart move by Graham Mertz. Like they were going to take their shot. You know, we just talked about it. You run the ball well, had the reverse, take a shot down the field. They're going to get a post with a deep cross, which they've had a lot of success with tonight, and just didn't feel comfortable with the snap and just, hey, let me find my check down, get something positive.
Again, Florida on the Niners side of the field, trying to finish a drive with a touchdown. They haven't scored a touchdown since the opening series. Johnson, extra lunge there at the end of the play, still short of the line to gain. It's going to be 3rd and short. Bima on the stop.
I mean, that is hard to fathom that it's been since the first drive of the game where they just moved effortlessly down the field to score a touchdown. Look at this young man's career and what he's done from his time at Louisiana to, you know, obviously last year at Florida in the start of this season as well.
When he's not playing football, you can find him at the local bowling alley. That's his favorite pastime. He's even got his own bowling ball. It's his prized possession. Inside handoff, Johnson bottled up, nowhere to go. He is going to be dumped, and it's going to be 4th down. A loss of 3 as Okira Noma has been the MVP of that Charlotte defense.
Yeah, it's just known running downs, and you want Florida to be more physical at the line of scrimmage, and right there, Hayden Hansen, the tight end who's supposed to be blocking the backside defensive end, just does not get over there in time, and he just attacks him and is able to knock both the quarterback and the running back in the backfield. And looks like Billy Napier's had enough of this already. Let's just go for it on 4th down. We got to find a way to put a touchdown on the board.
They need the 36-yard line to pick up the 1st down.
Well, you get man-to-man coverage, linebacker on a running back.
Johnson comes out of the backfield, lines up as a receiver. Mertz right on the screws to Douglas. Did he make the catch? They are saying yes, and that's going to be a turnover as the ball came out, and it's recovered by Charlotte's Day Hollins.
Catch followed by a fumble recovered by the defense.
Douglas had it, and it looked like he had enough for the 1st down, and then the ball came out.
Well, I was just about to give him some love for strong hands. Does a great job extending it, using his hands to catch, but right there, got to tuck it away, man. You can't just keep messing with it. These guys, defenders, are taught to strip the ball away. It's catch, strong hands into the body to protect it. And then Charlotte with another great play on defense. They have won the day when it comes to 3rd down and 4th down. You can say that, this defense.
Second time they've forced a Florida turnover. Dante Balfour is the one who popped that ball loose. Carolina Tar Heels transfer. Got beat a couple times last week in that loss to Georgia State in the secondary.
A catch followed by a fumble and recovered by the defense. That play is under review.
They're going to look at it again, but you know, you and I saw it. I don't think that this is going to be overturned.
At the end of the day, like, does it matter besides a couple yards? If it's an incompletion, it's still going to be Charlotte's ball.
Yeah, that's right.
So, like, let's not spend too much time on it, hopefully, for these refs. But yeah, you just got to be a little bit more catch to tuck, catch it, and they work those drills. I mean, you see receivers every day in practice. One of the first things they do is they catch it, they tuck it. There's some pad getting ready to knock them down. I think it's a catch. You see him start to make a move up the field. Ball gets popped out. A couple steps after the possession as well. I'm going to say catch, fumble, Charlotte's ball. Once again, going to be Charlotte's ball regardless anyways. 4th down situation. If there's an incompletion, it'd be the 49ers ball.
So a fumble on the opening series of the second half for Florida. A fumble here on their 3rd series. Still haven't seen a touchdown from the Gators offense since the opening drive to start the game tonight. Douglas, one of the young guys that they really like in the wide receiver room. He's athletic. We saw him make that athletic touchdown grab against
Review,
Utah.
the ruling on the field stands, first down.
But that's a mistake. And, you know, in a game that's still not comfortable, that could be a costly mistake.
You're not taking your starters out right now. Like in a game like this, and Florida plays a lot of young guys, especially on defense. So I don't know how much you would have been seeing the second-tier guys anyways, but still you want to be able to, you know, get in, get out, to be honest. We all know what kind of these games are like at times. And right now Charlotte has other intentions. They've come out to play on defense.
Desmond Washington, all 435 pounds of him, is in at nose tackle. Henry Rutledge, the speedster, in the backfield with Jalen Jones. As again, Charlotte has good field position to start this drive. We'll keep it on the ground. Scooby Williams was nicked up a little bit earlier. Number 17 made that stop. That's going to be the last play of the third quarter.
That is the end of the third quarter.
Florida fans wishing that this was like a 3 or 4 touchdown lead going to the fourth. It's not the case. Gainesville's favorite son, Tom Petty, leading the crowd. And Florida hoping they don't back down tonight. This was just moments ago during the break. It's one of the newer traditions in the SEC and one of the better ones. Tell you what, we talked about at the top of the broadcast. Can't let down after that big emotional win over Tennessee. Are we seeing signs of that maybe here tonight?
It's hard because I feel like the offense has been efficient, but you look at the third downs, 1 of 7 tonight. I mean, in special situations, they're not executing at a high level.
Jones on second down, cuts it up, nothing there. Taraja Mitchell, the linebacker, the former Ohio State Buckeye captain, steps up, and now it's third down and fairly long for Charlotte.
I mean, you bring up like a loss of edge. I don't feel a loss of edge. I feel like this defense has been tenacious. I think the offense is executed. It's been in, you know, third down and red zone situations where they just have not been able to, you know, really put their best foot forward to put points on the board. You know, putting field goals on the board, not touchdowns. It's little things like that just are holding them back. But I don't think an edge is gone from this football team.
I feel like this is a huge play for Charlotte if they're going to have a chance to come back in this game. They set up the screen, and it is going to be just short of the line to gain. Nice catch. But Bird is stopped about a yard shy by Tyreek Sapp, the edge player for Florida, but they're going to go for it on fourth down.
They got too many guys on the field, too.
Timeout, Florida. This is their first charge timeout of the half.
Gators call a timeout. Charlotte needing a yard to stay on the field offensively. Play Matvick, Aaron Murray back here in Gainesville. Charlotte on their side of the field going to go for it on 4th and 1 here early in the fourth quarter. And on a night where they've got 146 yards of offense only, 1 yard is a lot to ask for.
It's a lot to ask for. I'd rather get my quarterback in the gun and let him try to run the ball.
But as Jalen Jones under center, he's going to shift his tight ends.
Oh, they got him.
They drew Florida offside. At least it appears.
It's just undisciplined. Yeah, definitely got him over and made contact with the offensive lineman. Was unable to get back as Tyreek Sapp, number 94.
Offside on the defense with contact. Defensive tackle. 5-yard penalty. It results in the first down.
Huge break for Charlotte. First down. Now they're at the 48 of Florida, and you can see Sapp is getting an earful from Billy Napier. Big gift for the 49ers. Gators put it on a silver platter for him. First down and 10. Jones getting heated up from behind. He's in trouble. Down goes Jalen Jones at the 45-yard line. Uman Mielen. That's a loss of 7. Third sack tonight for this Gators defense.
Oh, if you need a play, one finds a way to always be around the football. Great job on the spin move, and then continues to get after the quarterback.
Yeah, he has made the quarterback uncomfortable throughout the night.
Oh, man, just the speed of him off the edge. And he's such a great athlete where you turn on the film, he's rushing the passer, he's athletic enough, and this defensive staff loves to be able to put him in space and cover as well. Just dynamic with great length at 6'5", 255.
Really struggled getting quarterback pressure last year. Now they get it again. Dumped off to Jake Clemens, the tight end. He's got a ton of room. That's a first down. Inside the 40 to the 34-yard line. R.J. Moten finally caught up with him, but that's a 19-yard pickup on 2nd and long.
Use Florida's speed against them. It's a great job, little play action, and then just as a quarterback, retreat, then find the throwing lane, get the big boys out front. Lucas Gramlich, number 75, leading the cavalry. And these tight ends, we alluded to in the first half, they're going to want to be in 12 personnel. They like both their guys. Weber, who's had a great game, and then Clemens as well, being able to catch the ball.
Yeah, they love those tight ends. And now 1st and 10. Jones is going to keep it. And he'll wiggle ahead to the 31-yard line. This is a huge drive for Charlotte. Still a lot of time on the clock. And they have had a hard time moving the football as well tonight, but that was a big play, getting the ball to the tight end, and now they've got a little bit of confidence.
Well, I know you brought up of, hey, we're going to see the backups for Florida at all this game. I think at this point it's going to be, unfortunately for those guys, you know, Florida's better find a way to hold on tight right now and start to dominate the way they did last week versus Tennessee. Starts with this defensive line, this front seven, not letting Charlotte run on them.
A little confusion. That Florida defense matching up, and you can see that Jones found the vacancy in the secondary, but there is a flag down. That's a gain of 14. We'll see if it's coming back. Looks like it is.
Holding on the offense, number 76. That 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the spot of the foul with a replay of 2nd down.
Former Nebraska Cornhusker Kevin Williams on the offensive line.
Man, that hurt because that was such a beautiful run there from Jalen Jones. And the more you watch number 4 take over this offense right now, the more you start to feel, we talked about a couple possessions ago, of what this offensive identity is going to be. And he's shown the ability to throw the ball a little bit more effectively than maybe Florida fans and Florida players were expecting. But his burst when he sees an opening.
It's explosive. No doubt about it. Thomas goes in motion to the slot. Direct snap there to the quarterback. And when you've got to account for a guy like that, it really strains the defense at times.
Well, and there's been enough of some of these quick hitters like screens and jet sweeps that all of a sudden, like, this defense is second guessing. Like, do we want to rush the quarterback as aggressive as we have it sometimes? Because now they've hit us with some big time plays with some misdirection. So right now they're kind of doing what they need to do offensively to keep Florida on their heels.
Big 3rd down. Florida's defense got to him again. Kelby Collins, one of the youngsters on that Florida defense. It's a sack and a loss of 8.
Yeah, it's just a 3-man rush too, and my goodness, did Kelby Collins, but Umimami Ellen did a great job getting off the edge as well.
Look at that, 4 sacks tonight, only 3 all of last season.
Yeah, 3 heading into this game, so I mean, be able to have that efficiency. I mean, it starts with, when you're running against this quarterback in this offense, you've got to get in the 3rd and long situations.
The punt from Gagne is going to bounce into the end zone, so it'll be a touchback, and Florida will have it with 9:46 to go. Aaron, Florida's defense best in the SEC coming into the game, allowing just 256 yards. They've given up just 163 tonight.
Yeah, they've been all over the place. And seeing these guys in pregame down the field, it is a good-looking bunch of athletes there for the Florida Gator defensive side of the football. They're big, they're strong, they're physical. They have length, and that's something that Armstrong told us yesterday, talking to him, the defensive coordinator for Florida, is like, man, I've never coached guys with this kind of size, strength, and athleticism. And you see 4 sacks, TFLs, 5 TFLs, and a forced fumble tonight. He said it is such a luxury from where I was at to now coming here to be able to have these essentially monsters on defense to coach up.
Trevor Etienne is going to carry right up the middle. And now Florida is going to try to control as much clock as they possibly can here late in this ball game. And salt this game away, get out of here with a win, even though at times it hasn't been pretty, especially offensively. You know, I thought last week the offense in the first half, they were a huge key to beating Tennessee. Tonight, though, it's been more about the defense. They'll stick back with Etienne. He's got a first down and more. A nice shifty move to get to the 40, down to the 44-yard line. Gain of 17 for Trevor Etienne.
Well, I mean, and you allude to, like, this is one of the better defenses in the country through the first part of the season. Like, this is not and should not be a surprise to any Florida fan watching this game right now. We're here in the swamp of how good this defense has come out and performed. I think it is a little bit more shocking the offense is not executed inside the red zone as effectively. But this is a well-coached defensive Gator football team.
Trevor eludes a tackle, tries to stiff arm his way out of another one and does, but then is hit from behind at the 40-yard line. He'll take a loss of 3 yards. Demetrius Knight made that play. Trevor Etienne, not as big as his older brother Travis, who plays up the road in Jacksonville. Certainly, I think, more shifty at times.
Yeah, I don't know. His brother's pretty shifty too.
He's
an all-around running back, from his days at Clemson to now the NFL. And you look at the rushing career for him, 4,500 yards, 78 total touchdowns. Was an absolute terror there in the ACC for the Clemson Tigers.
Graham Mertz, very efficient throwing the ball tonight, 225 yards passing. He'll hand it off to Etienne. Another good run for Trevor. He stopped just short of the midfield stripe, a gain of a half dozen. Bima on the stop. Look at this replay from the shiftiness we talked about. When he wants to change directions, he knows how to do it. He'll come out. Montrell Johnson back in. I think Billy Napier was hoping to see more of Trayon Webb tonight, their number 3 running back. It just hasn't manifested because of how close this game is.
Yeah, because that's one area that they're a little bit concerned about. They love their first 2 guys, but don't feel like they have a lot of depth behind them.
Injuries have kind of played a role in that as Mertz is pushed out of the pocket. Now being chased, looking downfield, he's going to be dropped. Nakai Hill-Green throws him down. That's going to be a loss of 4. Another sack for the Charlotte defense. That's their 3rd.
All right, just nothing open downfield. He did have someone in the middle of the field, but it's kind of hard to rip your hips around unless you're Patrick Mahomes and throw the ball 30 yards across your body, rolling to the left. And smart decision by Graham there, just eating it, not trying to force the ball down the field.
So Crawshaw will come on. Henry Rutledge, who had a punt return touchdown last week against Georgia State, is going to call for the fair catch at the 5-yard line. 51-yard punt from Crawshaw. 6.5 to go here in the Swamp. Well, tonight, the SEC football final crew takes you through the biggest stories of the day, breaks down all the games, 10:30 Eastern, after Mississippi State, South Carolina, over on the SEC Network. South Carolina leading 27-24 in the 3rd quarter. Meanwhile, here it's 19-7. Number 25, Florida. They haven't been their sharpest tonight. Charlotte's still in this football game, albeit backed up right now. Jalen Jones takes the snap from the goal line, trying to get out of the end zone, and does to avoid the safety. Scooby Williams blowing that play up.
It's that speed of this defense. Man, Scooby, number 17, is just maybe one of the fastest linebackers in the SEC, then able to take on blockers to shed him and get a hand on the quarterback to knock him down at the 1-yard line. You see if this Florida faithful can create some energy there, back in the end zone, backed up.
Scooby's the mystery machine.
He is the mystery machine.
2nd and 14. Just looking for breathing room, lunging ahead close to the 5-yard line. You know, you think about it, just one touchdown tonight for Florida, Aaron. Only 3 points for the Gators here in the second half. They've turned it over twice, but Charlotte has no points off those turnovers.
Yep.
Because of the Florida defense tonight, it's still a comfortable separation late in the football game. They would like it to be more comfortable.
Well, and Florida's been banged up. Like, listen, three of your offensive linemen didn't play the first half. Your starting center was out the whole game. Two of your playmakers at the receiving position are out. So you get a full start there from the right tackle.
Yep.
So
False start on the offense, number 79. After this, it's to the goal. Third down.
they're not 100% on offense right now. We talked about Eugene Wilson not playing in this game, and he is such a dynamic playmaker that with his athleticism would have made a huge difference in this game.
They missed him tonight,
yeah,
for
they
sure.
missed him.
They also didn't have Marcus Burke, another receiver. Dante Sanders, playmaker at tight end, was suspended for the first half. On top of those linemen Aaron alluded to. From the end zone, Jones deep downfield, and he overshot his man Thomas by about 4 yards. Jason Marshall is in the coverage, and there is a marker down behind the play. Charlotte needs a break. They need this to be against Florida.
Oh, if it's a penalty inside the end zone, it would be a safety on Charlotte.
There are 2 fouls on the play, one by each team. Ineligible player downfield. On the offense, number 18, he was covered up and went downfield on a forward pass. Personal foul, face mask. On the defense, number 88. Those penalties will offset. We will replay third down.
So Charlotte will have another third down and long with 4:47 to go from their own 2-yard line. This defense has been making big plays, especially the last few weeks. Crowd getting behind him here. Really last chance for Charlotte. Jones, little pressure, got rid of it, flicks it to the sideline. It is caught by Hystera, who has been very quiet tonight. He's going to get 8 yards, but short of the line to gain. They'll move it to the 10-yard line. That's his first catch, and he's one of their best receivers.
He is their best receiver. I mean, and once again, it goes back to just who your identity is as an offense, and it was about running the football with your quarterback tonight, getting your tight ends involved on screens, some of your running backs involved on screens, and really not a lot of love has been able to be spread out to the receivers for Charlotte.
He came into the game with 8 catches of 15 yards or more. Not just a good receiver, but an explosive receiver. And a no-show tonight for the most part. Ricky Pearsall back to return this punt. Good field position here for the Gators. Into Charlotte territory. Pearsall to the 40-yard line of the 49ers. Just over 4 minutes to go. So the Gators, they're going to get a win, but they've got to salt this one away. Things get a little ticklish from here on out for the Florida Gators, Aaron Murray, as it's all SEC opponents until Florida State the week of Thanksgiving. They're going to be at Kentucky. And Lexington lost to Kentucky last year after the Utah upset. Then they host Vanderbilt. Of course, the Doors upset Florida last year in Nashville.
Yeah. And I know that people are maybe worried about next week's game at Kentucky, Kentucky undefeated, but I don't know, man. I've not been super impressed with the Wildcats this year. So I think Florida can go in there and take care of business, honestly.
Mertz still in the game here in the fourth quarter. I think a lot of fans didn't expect that to happen. He hits Odom. Actually, Boardingham, the tight end who had the only touchdown tonight for the Gators. That's a 25-yard pickup for Arlis Boardingham.
Yeah, it's not as scary of a schedule as maybe we would have thought to start the season. Like Kentucky is, undefeated once again, but man, it not looked great. Devin Leary's kind of struggled to start the season, had 2 interceptions today versus Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's kind of gone downhill a little bit. Georgia's not been as dominant South Carolina, same things. Like, there's no reason why Florida can't have a lot of success this year.
Johnson kind of stumbled there on first down. I guess there's a potential for them to be 6-1 going into that rivalry game with Georgia and Jacksonville.
And I know what.
Timeout, Charlotte.
Charlotte's going to call a timeout.
Of the half.
Let's not forget too.
30-second timeout. Please reset the game clock to 3:21.
I know Florida State's been, one of the hottest teams in the country to start the year off, but they look pretty vulnerable versus Boston College last week. I thought Clemson had multiple opportunities today to kind of pull away from that game, and didn't, and Florida State took advantage and ended up winning it. So I think Florida's in a good spot. They're a young football team. You're seeing the progress. They have an identity on offense. Listen, if they would have scored 2 more touchdowns in the red zone today, we would be talking about the backups in the game right now. That's something that can be cleaned up, and I'm sure will be cleaned up this week in practice before they go on the road to Lexington.
So Billy Napier wanted this team to keep its edge. Didn't want to let down after the Tennessee victory a weekend ago. I think he's going to have some things to talk about.
Yeah. Once again, I didn't feel like a lack of energy, though, from Florida. Just
especially on the defensive side.
Yeah, just some execution, I would say, from the offensive line a little bit on those 3rd and short situations. And, once again, you're playing with 3 backups for the majority of the game.
So 2nd down and 9, 3:21 to go. Play action. Mertz has a man wide open. It's Pearsall. Pearsall. Did he get to the sticks? Demetrius Knight knocking him down. Nice catch and run for Pearsall. He was left all alone. That's going to be a gain of 9, and it's going to bring up 3rd down and short. And they're going to take their time. Boy, this would be somewhat validating just to get into the end zone one more time. They've been 1 of 8 tonight on 3rd down. Lunging ahead, Mertz getting a push from behind. It's going to be close. I don't think this is guaranteed for Graham Mertz. You can speak to this as a quarterback. Half a yard is sometimes the hardest thing to pick up in football.
Yeah, but with the new rules where you can push the quarterback from behind, you would think it'd be pretty automatic, especially with this offensive line going against Charlotte.
Now player down for the 49ers. And Charlotte calls a timeout. And we're going to have 4th down. Did not get it. That's Des Morgan, junior defensive lineman out of Winston-Salem. And this has been part of the problem tonight in the red zone for Florida. Just settling for too many field goal attempts. Set up for just the 1 touchdown, and that came on the opening drive tonight.
Well, without Des Morgan, big number 90 in there, 6'3", 305. You think this offensive line would just line up and get downhill behind Montrell, who's 5'11", 215.
Timeout, Charlotte. This is their 2nd charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout. Please reset the game clock to 2:30.
So 2.5 minutes left. It was fun to talk to that guy this week, Biff Poggi. Still considers himself a high school coach. Very grateful for this opportunity to be the head man at a college program for the first time. But
I just love the attire. I wish I was wearing it. Good for him.
He says, hey, man, I'm a big guy. I just want to be comfortable. And the shorts and the T-shirt, I'm comfortable.
He does look like a high school coach, just hanging out, enjoying his best life. And you talk about Billy Napier maybe not being too happy when this is all said and done. I do think that good old Bib is going to be pretty proud of his team, that they came into a hostile environment in the swamp and fought their butts off, man. They really did on both sides of the football.
This field named after his former offensive coordinator, Steve Spurrier. Biff Poggi was an offensive lineman at Duke when the old ball coach was the OC there back in the early 80s. 4th down and 1 for the Gators. Mertz sneaks up under center, trying to draw Charlotte offside. And now timeout called. Florida wants to take another timeout.
Timeout, Florida. This is their second charge timeout of the half. It'll be a 30-second
So now both teams
timeout.
with one timeout left. Graham Mertz, from an eligibility standpoint, come back next year. He transfers to Florida with 2 years remaining. You and I were talking to Billy Napier about Graham yesterday, and he says, man, I really hope I get him for 2 years.
I think he will. I mean, you look at the NFL draft class that's coming out this year is loaded. This may be the most talented draft class I've ever seen from the quarterback position. So, like, I would anticipate Graham to come back, and especially when you start looking at what's coming back. The majority of your offensive line, and actually your entire offensive line, is all sophomores and juniors. Your best receivers, Ricky's gone, but Eugene's back, and most of your receivers are freshmen to juniors. You got a very young defense. Like, this is a team that, you want to have success this year, and they have a chance to be very successful this year. But you start looking at 2024, whew.
Some of the crowd wanted Florida to go for it. And they're going to send out Trey Smack, who's 4 for 4 tonight. Hit a 54-yarder earlier. This is from 23. Spot, the kick, and it's good. 5 field goals tonight for Florida, just 1 touchdown. Now this is all but over with 2:28 to go. Five possessions here in the second half. A couple of turnovers, a punt, and 2 field goals.
Number 0 for Florida is now number 43. 0 is now number 43.
I wouldn't say like overly concerned, but a little concerning.
Number 20 is also 39. Also number 20 is number 39.
You're driving the football. Like, they're having, like, from like the 10-yard line, because they've had some 90-yard drives. I would say from like between the 10 to the 10. It's been like, man, this offense looks great. Running the ball well. Graham looks great throwing the football. Everything seems to be in sync, and then just bam, like they run into a wall right there about the 5 to 10-yard line.
5 plays, 34 yards in a minute 43. 3 more from Trey Smack, who has been an inspiration tonight. A nice lift in the special teams unit as he has solidified the place kicking chores, and he's done a great job tonight kicking it through the end zone. Charlotte coming up. They'll be at SMU. This is their first year in the American. Charlotte football, only 10 years old. Just 1 winning season in their history. The fans are hungry for a winner there. They brought Biff Poggi in to kind of turn the program around, and they're going into a new conference, a tougher conference than it was in Conference USA. And they've got a lot of talent on that side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. But a lot of transfers, and they're still trying to figure out how to play together.
Yeah, and they're trying to figure out how to play 4 quarters of football. I think that's something the coach staff kept reiterating to us, is we need to be able to play 4 quarters, not just 1 or 2 quarters well here and there.
Bobbled, hung on to Bryce Kennan, the catch. Bryce Kennan, tight end, picks up 10. Clock moving here late in the 4th quarter. They were in Conference USA for 8 years. They think they can compete right away. Like the way their defense has played tonight for sure. Jones stumbled. I think he might have had enough room there to get the first down before he tripped. Gets 7. Still playing hard, trying to get some points on the board here before their Dayton-Gainesville is up. From the 42-yard line. 2nd and 3. Jones, all kinds of time, throws it over the middle, and it's caught by Dwayne Thomas. And Miguel Mitchell brings him down as they get a big play of 24 yards. So few of those tonight for the 49ers.
Well, I think there's been a couple moments where Jalen's kind of gone back to throw the football. We're like, wow, I haven't seen that really much on film of him being able to push the ball vertically down the field.
He's only had 1 incompletion tonight. He's 11 of 12. Now trying to throw again. Panic mode, and he throws it down the sideline, incomplete. He's out of bounds. He's intending it for Randy Fields. Uman Mielen Again with pressure. It was actually Jaden Bradley, number 3, down the sideline. Uman Mielen has been outstanding tonight, getting in the backfield.
Oh, he's unbelievable. Just love his game, his athletic, and just he's the guy that you want walking out of the bus first when you pull up. At 6'5", 255, he is scary looking. Maybe Desmond Watson first off the bus. 425 off the bus.
I was going to say.
Kind of makes you kind of, whoa, double take that one.
He makes Cam Jackson look small, and he's not. Jackson, incomplete. Intended for Jack Estera. Jones hasn't thrown many incompletions. There's one of them. 111 yards passing. Just his 3rd incompletion. Austin Armstrong, just 30 years old, the defensive coordinator for Florida. Tell you what, he's a bright young mind.
Oh my goodness. I had him last year when he was at Louisiana and got to sit down with him before they played at Coastal Carolina, and just, you knew he was going to be not there for long and moving his way up the rankings.
He calls a blitz, and Jones got rid of it. There's Uman Mielen again. Man, number 1 has so much speed.
There is no foul for intentional grounding. Number 18 was in the area.
That will not be intentional grounding, but you can see Jones was just trying to get rid of it for his life.
I mean, when you're that size and can move and have that burst off the line of scrimmage, yeah, I don't care who you're going to face, you're going to be an absolute terror. I mean, we a lot of focus on Cam Jackson after what he did last week for Tennessee, but man, number 1 continues to flash.
Almost had the 5th sack of the night for the Florida defense. They have pressured Jones. They have pressured Trexler Ivy when he's been in there. Under a minute to go. Jones heaves it up toward the corner, looking for Estera, and again it's out of bounds. So Florida will take over on downs, and that will do it. Graham Mertz, 20 of 23, 259 yards passing, the 1 touchdown throw to Boardingham. And he is going to be over 70% with his completion rate again tonight. That's all 4 games this season. So that ties the longest streak by a Florida quarterback over the last 20 years.
Wow.
We talked about him being dialed in all week, and we saw it again tonight.
Yeah, just, and he takes care of the football. I think that's he does the things that you want from a quarterback. Are you accurate? Check. Do you take care of football? Yes. Do you play complementary football? Understanding that how good your defense has been this season, let's not put our team at risk at all. And I think that right now you're seeing a really mature quarterback. And listen, he played 32 games at Wisconsin in some big-time environments. He's got a lot of football under his belt, and you're seeing that maturity really start the season off.
It's going to be a 15-point win for number 25, Florida. And now they'll head to Lexington, Kentucky to take on the Wildcats. As Billy Napier will run across the field to shake hands with Biff Poggi. The balance of the SEC schedule lies ahead for Florida. You know, it wasn't an overwhelmingly convincing win tonight, but it's a win. And there's a lot for this Gators fan base to be excited about. They're 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1, feeling good. SEC ball starts next week.
14th straight non-conference home win for Florida, 22-7 over Charlotte. For Aaron Murray and our entire crew, I'm Clay Matvick. We say so long from the swamp in Gainesville.